The situation at Spurs is oh so wrong. It's all part of Phoenix and Levy's con. A world-class stadium, second-rate team. Spurs are winning nothing under this regime. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Intense are filling their coffers to the brim. The football forecast looks so grim. Spurs last cup win in 2008. I lack a proper investment, it's what true fans hate. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Intense are filling their coffers to the brim. The football forecast looks so grim. Spurs last cup win in 2008. A lack of proper investment is what true fans hate. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Project Youth, just another Levy feast. Dismantling Spurs history piece by piece. The stadium, just an entertainment hub. No true fan wanted this for our club. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Legendary Bill Nick would turn in his grave if he knew how the owners now behave. Corporate greed and no success. We need to work together to get our club out of this mess. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out. Together we need to shout, Levy and E-Nick out.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the way, the best place to be in town on a Monday night. We're back again. Smash a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. You know the drill by now. If you have any comments, put them in the chat. If you want us to discuss any particular topics, or if you've got any specific questions you must have us answer for you, then get your super chats in and you take priority, as per YouTube rules. So, welcome everyone. Hope you're doing well. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Mari, you got the guns out. I don't know if you're just trying to woo the ladies or whether it's hot over there in Florida, but how you doing, man?
Doing good. Just finished working out. It is hot, like sweat and balls here in Florida. And my AC is not working that great. Hopefully they will, like, maintenance people will come in. I just sent them a text. But other than that, doing okay. And yeah.
Okay. Sorry, ladies. It's not for you. It's because of the hot weather. Iggy, how you doing, man? Lateness is greatness. How you doing?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. I wish I could be wearing a tank top over here, but we're not quite at that point in England.
Cold.
We had been in the last few couple of months, but yeah, it seems to have taken turn for the worse. So. Yeah. Apart from that, all good, man. I can't complain. Hope everyone in the chat's good. Everyone in the panel's good.
JP, how you doing, brother?
I'm loving Big Frank instead.
Oh my god.
More like
I'm
Frankie
right.
goes to Hollywood.
I'm good. I'm still hanging on to that night.
He looks like my local butcher.
He looks like a murderer, doesn't he?
Yeah, should get on my boat.
Levy drove him to that already.
He's a knife in a hand, right?
He's already been Levy.
He reminds me of the child snatcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Well, plenty of them.
Loving Big Frank instead. Maz, you loving Big Frank?
Yeah, love Big Frank. I'm even happier that Ben Davies is here for another year.
Woo woo.
Yeah.
What a legend of the club. He's
Statue next.
his part in the Europa League won't be forgotten.
Lee, how you doing, man? In the blue room as always.
Mate, I'll tell you what, it's hard off season, trying to get tidbits of football to watch, keep up, and then we have to watch England on a Saturday night, which was the best 75 minutes of sleep I think I've had in about a week. So, yeah, not too bad other than that.
God,
The most
I didn't even
boring
watch-
game I've ever watched in my life.
Are you titular out?
I'll get... Gives a chance.
Still early doors. Still early doors. We'll see what happens. I'll be honest with you. I was working all weekend. I didn't even know there was international football on, and I heard something about a really good game, a 5-4. I think Spain were involved. I don't know about it, but
Yeah.
Spain, Portugal. Yeah, that was
is it Spain, Portugal? Yeah, I heard that was a cracker. So
Ronaldo scoring.
No, the 5-4 was Spain, but there was Spain-France. That was a qualifier. That was the Nations League, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Nations
semi-final,
League.
wasn't it?
That wasn't it?
And then the Portugal-Spain last night, wasn't it? The final.
Quickly, do you guys really respect? Because I've been debating with people on X. Do you guys respect the Nations League?
Yeah, I actually like it. I didn't like it at the beginning, but what happens when it gets to the latter stages and the trophy's up for grabs, like any competition, it becomes good.
I think here in England, Mari, we don't like it because we're not in that Group A or whatever it is.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It just beats what it is, Mari. They had to do something to create interest because there was too many international friendlies before.
Yeah.
You had the qualifiers, which is fine. There's interest there because there's points up for grabs, league tables and stuff like that. But there was too many friendlies. So to bump up the interest, they've eliminated more friendlies and introduced Nations League. So it gives, and also it allows, like you said, rankings. If you you can either play at the top or you drop down, which is what happened to England. And now it's. I think it took me a while to get into it, but I actually enjoyed it. The semi-final the other night was amazing. France, Spain, 5-1 up Spain, and France nearly caught them up. And the final yesterday, Portugal, I thought was a cracking game. Some of the best international matches. It also showed me. The levels. Spain, Portugal, France. Do you know what it is with France? I don't see them. They've got great individual players. I don't see them quite there. The chemistry.
Yeah.
But what I do see it in Spain, and I definitely see it in Portugal. So that's going to be really good to see how it's like a family environment. I mean, I watch Italy now, and I don't see any of that. I watch England. I agree with Lee. It was
Letty is out.
It was so boring. But
3-0 to Norway. I couldn't believe it.
Listen, get out at the moment.
Battered,
There's no sense of belonging at the moment in that team. That's why.
Last thing, Pochettino is doing terrible.
Yeah, they lost again, didn't they?
He's on the trot, isn't it?
Goodness. Oh,
do you know what it is, Mari? Sometimes the chemistry between coach and players, if he doesn't get how the American national team work or how the group evolves, and I don't know, sometimes the mix just doesn't work. So USA needs to find a coach that gets them, understands them, and gets the best out of the group.
That's what Mari's saying, man.
But do you know what? It could be. You never know. You never know. We hold on to the hope that one day he returns to Spurs. I don't see it now with Frank, to be honest with you, but I don't. Do you know what? I actually don't think that's ever going to happen. I really don't. I know we're going off the track a little bit.
I'm him for the World Cup, but he is doing terrible. We're losing to. I guess if we're losing to Mexico or Costa Rica, we're losing to the bottom tier.
Canada.
Yeah, Canada's
They get
actually
beat by Canada.
Canada, I'm gonna give respect.
Disrespectful.
Podge is
Canada
trying his
were
best to
quite
get
good in the
sacked
last World Cup,
for
weren't they?
Daniel Levy. He's trying his
You know
best
what?
to get sacked for Daniel Levy.
Ange might actually do better in the USA. He might actually do better.
People in the chat saying, "Come on, just get into it, guys. This is how we start every week. Hellos, have a little chat. This is what we do, people. If you don't know that by now, then where have you been for the last 5 years?"
Do you know, get into what we'd like. We haven't had any of the official announcements in terms of the manager, so we know it's we believe it's Frank
Almost
99%, but until it's announced,
It's going to be Frank. It's definitely going to be Frank. A user with a super chat. Big up to you, my man. Evening to the panel. Hope you and your families are well. Thank you very much, my man.
big up, guys.
500 people in the chat, guys. Smash a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know how it works. Look, where does everyone want to start? Okay, so Ange is gone. Thomas Frank's coming in, and Ben Davies is staying. Should we just do all three at once? Do we link the three?
Let's start on Ben Davies, right? I just want to know who keeps making the decision to extend his contract. Like, it can't be the managers because they're always like,
We ain't got one.
Well, we ain't got one. And
Is it
two,
not an automatic
they come and
rollover
go.
contract? I'm starting to wonder. It's just a natural rollover.
Yeah.
No,
I still fully expect him to be gone, Maz. It's a way
His last
of
one, though, isn't it?
guaranteeing something.
Yeah, but I wonder,
if he does get a transfer
why the club have attached so much value to him. Like, it's unusual though, isn't it? Because it's not like being at Spurs since he was really young, or he's not a youth development player or anything like that. It's a player that we brought in under Pochettino. He's never really been a first team starter, but he seems to the club just constantly extend his contract, and it begs the question: is like, is he really that integral to the cohesion of the team and the players around the club that they need to constantly extend his contract?
Daniel Levy is related to Mr. Trebus, and as we know, they've all got this inherent thing to want to hoard things. And if you went into Daniel Levy's house, he's probably got, about 30 Spurs players from across the years that he's just keeping in cupboards and stuff. And he just likes to keep stuff around. It's like a hoarder.
Sentimental FC.
Yeah, that's what it is. No, honestly, guys, I think there's a reason behind it. I think he's still gone. Whether it's so we can get a fee for him or something like that, I don't know. But as Iggy said, I don't think it's necessarily it's been negotiated. I think it's just a case of, if X, Y, and Z happens, his contract just gets extended for another year. Job done.
But I would argue for Davies, if he left 3, 4, 5 years ago, he probably would have got into another Premier League team and be a starter.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But he stayed at Spurs.
Frank wanted him there, didn't he, at Brentford not long ago?
Oh, maybe that's why I'm saying then. Frank's like, finally landed him.
Do you know how I see it? With him staying, for me, it's just blocking off that passage for the likes of Phillips or any of these young players that could be coming through. It's just. But look, I've read quite a lot today on online, and there's what I get from that is that there's a lot of fans more happier than not about him extending. Honestly, that I have seen that with my own eyes. So I just think it'd be good to. I always believe, like in a football team, every so many years, 4 or 5 years, whatever, it gets to a point where you do have to freshen things up. Now, Davies has a lot of experience and he knows a lot about our team and our club. But I just think you can get an experienced player, but just freshen things up, just to hearing another voice there. And I do feel also from a young players that we've signed like Phillips, and we could be mentioning another 2 or 3 of those youngsters that could. I just think you block that off by keeping players that really don't hold much more than a simple squad player role in the team. And I know people are writing down homegrown, But I'm thinking that that's the whole point, isn't it? Of having young players in the squad.
Yeah. And Iggy, I had this chat with Shine yesterday, right? Because at the end of the day, because he's been there so long, he must be on a decent wage. So he's taking up a proportion of someone's, like a new person being added to the club, or someone's having a bit of an extended wage. I think we went through and so I listed out Danso, Van der Ven, Romero, Dragerson, with Davies. If we get that Vuskovic back, Ashley Phillips and Dorrington, that's 8 centre backs.
I do think one or two would be going. I'm even with a new manager. You never know who's staying and who's going, because obviously the manager will have his ideas, the players will have their own ideas. I know there's big talk of Romero leaving. I don't know how much that would have changed even if Ange stayed on. They're saying that he would have had more chance of him staying with Ange. I don't know, man.
That can't be till the end.
That could be said with any player, guys.
He was going to go to Wrexham on a free.
Yeah. Maybe they'll have to, pay for his train fare now or something because of his contract extension. I don't know. But Iggy, to your point about these other kids, right? We're saying these kids are smashing it up and they're really well thought of at the clubs that they're at right now. Surely, if it's Frank, I mean, we're saying it's going to be Frank. Surely, it's got to be. We won't know that until the end of the transfer window or close to it, because how could he possibly make a decision on them when he's never seen them play in a pre-season or something like that? Surely he's got to have time with them, being a coach, to know whether he's going to fit in, how he's going to, how they're going to play, etc. So I don't think we're going to see anything of them going out on loan till August time. They've got to get some game time under him.
Lee, I think that's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Thanks.
I'll tell you why it's nonsense, right?
So you can tell a player is going to be good in a Premier League team by them playing at another team. You don't know what their ceiling is.
Every single manager that comes to this club, we say the same thing, right? We say he needs time to look at them, let him check them out, pre-season, few matches, then decide. And they all seem to keep Ben Davies. Every single one. Right? That's why it's nonsense. The simple fact.
What I said got to do with Ben Davies?
Because you're talking about the manager having to see the players, no?
No, I was just talking about whether they would go out on loan. I was just saying if they do go out on loan, it'll be later in the window, because surely he needs time to assess what their strengths are and all that kind of thing. Stuff
Sorry,
it wasn't relatable to Ben Davies.
About the youngsters.
Sorry.
I take it back. I thought we were talking about Ben Davies. Sorry.
I forgive you.
My apologies.
I think everyone knows how he plays, right? And
to the left.
To me, this stinks straight away of the same thing that happened with Timo Werner at the start of last season's window. It stinks exactly the same thing.
Okay, good. Right, let's hold on then. Right, let's look at it this way, right? So Ben Davies is here for another year. I don't think he's signed because we're going to sell him, because at his age, surely the wages are more expensive to keep paying him than what it is to sell him and get some money in. He's at that age where how much could we realistically? How old is he? How old's Ben Davies?
I don't think you get any money for him.
Is he 33? 32?
You get 5. Maybe,
but it's just about getting the wages off the books, right?
You won't get more. You won't get any more than what we sold Dyer for. Let's put it that way.
Look, there you go.
Oh yeah, they're getting killed.
But JP, I don't think it's anything like Werner, because Werner is still relatively young, right? I guess. Or is it?
Right, he's 32. He's 32 years old, right? How much could we sell a 32-year-old centre back with no pace?
A tenner.
Couple of million?
4 or 5 million.
5 million.
Right. So why would you extend his contract and be locked into having to pay those wages now unless you sell him?
One of the guys in the comments, and I remember seeing this somewhere as well, is that apparently wants to get his coaching badges here. But why does he need to stay here to do that? He can always play out his career and come back if he wanted to do that.
Right, Ryan Mason and Ledley King got their coaching badges at Spurs, and they weren't playing for Tottenham at the time.
Yeah. Maybe you don't have to pay for it, Maz.
Learn from Levy. Learn from the best.
I think what this proves to me is that the club make the signings and the managers don't. or the managers get to pick some, and the rest are forced on them, and they have to accept it. So that then kind of does that not defend Ange Postecoglou and every manager before him as well? Then is there no defense enough for those managers?
I don't know if this was from a journo or just commentary from various YouTubers that I was listening to, but there was talk that even though the club were making signings, i.e. club signings, I think Alistair Gold said it, Ange was still insistent to say that it was all him. And then, so if that's the case, then Ange is even more of an idiot than I thought he was before. But what contradicts that is when you read some of the players' farewell messages, they say, "Oh, thank you for believing in me and bringing me into the club." So it sounds like he's had some input on some and no input on others.
One example. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Sav was saying, most clubs make club signings. Well, but at Spurs, it's obviously different to every other club because we're constantly, how many of our signings that genuinely make it? Aside from the Poch era and maybe Redknapp, a lot of them fail, right?
How many players were forced onto Arteta?
I was going to say,
how many players were forced onto Arteta?
Exactly.
Who was forced on Arteta?
Yeah, who was forced on Guardiola? Who was forced on Klopp? I mean, it's easy to say that because we can't prove otherwise, right? It's like
I don't think we know.
Those arguments that no one can prove either way.
All right, look at Matisse Tell. Apparently, we haven't hired Frank yet, but Matisse Tell, it looks like he's going to be re-signed. To me, that's a club signing. That's a club signing.
He's a football director, like Lange. He's not gone yet. So is that his signing then? Is he the one who's doing it?
Is that his parting shot?
Apparently, he's going nowhere as well. That frightens me.
That
Lange isn't going. Lange is staying.
Apparently, Lange is the one that recommended Frank in the first place. And
Frank will be gone in 2 years.
Frank's been on the radar of Tottenham since when Ange came in. Just wasn't the right time for him to go. And it's Lange that's been pulling the strings behind the scenes for him. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. All the talk about Munn, Ange, all this kind of stuff, that's the one that I wanted to hear the here we go for.
Did you see the Athletic?
No, because I don't think you can't get a guy kicked out of a club or made to move on if you're good at your job, right?
Did you see the Athletic? I'm sure it was the Athletic that said Munn, it was all him in regards to Ange. It was all Munn. Yeah. And then Levy, I mean, if you believe it or you think it's bullshit, Levy did not want him in. I was like, oh shit, this is now coming out. So that's the reason why Munn got the axe and not Lang. I don't care. I want them all out. But I was just like, oh shit. I'm like,
do you know? It seems to me there's certain players that I don't know, just hover about. Like I have no idea what the deal with Davies is. I never understood that because, like I said, he's not ever been a first team player. He's had moments where he's been in the team, but he's never been like consistently in the past where he was a regular and now has become like a squad player. He's always been a squad player. So I'm not sure what the deal is, and with this rollover contract business, and apparently this was done a few months ago, but then it was only announced now. So I'm not sure what the manager's changed, but he hovers about. Maybe he's in the same sort of trajectory that Ryan Mason was, and that's what's happening with him. In regards to Tell, the only logical sense that I can make with Tell is that Bayern Munich are kind of leveraging with the money that did they pay for the whole fee for Kane, or they're using Tell as part of that payment? Because I don't honestly see, in terms of what I've seen from him on the pitch, what he's done to warrant a confirmation for next season. I don't. So I don't know if it's to do with money that they owe us for Kane, and that's what we're kind of using Tell for that.
Yeah, but surely we can say no.
Perhaps there's something about him that somebody at Hotspur Way has seen a player in him, thinking, you know what, we can get. There is something about him that we probably haven't seen in him as fans. I don't know, man. I can't understand how a new player can be confirmed without even a manager coming in to say, do you know what? I need to decide. I need to look at Tell firsthand, want to see him firsthand, to then say to the club, confirm him. There's actually something about him.
It's not like that anymore, though,
that
Iggy, is
happens.
it? It is literally you get these guys in as coaches now, right?
Normally, see
His
JP,
players.
any
Not
player that's up for renewal of contract, or any player that perhaps was under the old manager was going one way with a contract or his confirming him for next year. It kind of normally there's a halt, isn't there, before the new manager comes in. But here it seems to be like, yeah, that's the new manager things happen in the background. But this is going on as normal. So I don't know. I'm none the wiser, and I don't know what you guys think and what your take is. And I'll hear guys in the chat, I don't know what their take is, but I can't make any sense of it, really, if in all honesty.
I don't get it either.
He's a really bad footballer.
Yeah, but we've got a coach coming in. He might turn him into prime Ronaldo.
I don't think you can teach him to be all of a sudden like really much better. I think he's that bad. I mean, if he hasn't got it at that age, then how can you train him to be skillful all of a sudden?
I don't know if I wouldn't go as far as saying he's a bad footballer. I just think that what we need in that area.
Bad footballer relative to his peers in the Premier League.
Yeah, I just think we need something different. The characteristics of the player that we need in those areas are completely different to what Tell is.
You don't need to be diplomatic, mate.
Honestly, look, what do we need? But what do we need in those areas? We need a player that's on one-on-one. We need a player that takes on players to create numerical advantages.
Do one-on-one.
He doesn't do any of that.
Players.
And he's not lethal in front of goal. He's not savage enough in front of goal. Those are the kind of players that we need in those wide areas. One-on-ones, creating numerical advantages, and causing havoc and being a danger in front of goal. Is he a danger in front of goal? Not from what we've seen.
You know what's been
enough? No.
You know what's been synonymous with some of our players? This hard-working tag that we give players.
Hard-working,
when they're crap, right? Like was Ginola really hard-working? No, he was just a quality player. I didn't need to run around like a headless chicken.
Hard-working, he can shithousery.
Richarlison, he runs around and he presses and he's a nightmare for the thing. He's really hard-working. Yeah, but he's
Richarlison wears the number 9. Yeah, number 9 should be real. I'll be looking goals. That's the number one thing.
Solanke, what? I like the fact that he works really hard and he runs around. Yeah, but what about his actual goal scoring? How about
he's a forward, right? A striker.
What about how many million per goal did he cost us so far? Tell he scored a goal and he didn't even know the ball hit him and it went in.
Maz, it's something Ash said on Saturday's show. And it's kind of true. All of these hardworking players brought us glory. All of these hard players, the Tells, the Selenkis, they did something that Gareth Bale,
being hardworking,
didn't do.
Yeah, not really. Who played in the final, Murray? Who played in the final?
Let me remember. The game was ugly.
Ben Davies didn't.
Fernandez.
Did Tell play?
Tell didn't start.
Okay.
I love the fact that Werner and the final, when everyone was celebrating, Werner took a cheeky picture of him holding the cup. Right, and you're just thinking, you cheeky little fucker.
He went and got a medal, didn't he? And he ran out of medals.
Johnson did play.
Reguilón got a medal, for fuck's sakes. Reguilón.
Yeah, but
Reguilón played, right? Did he come in? No. He didn't.
He got a medal.
It was Bergvall.
Yeah, but Werner was taken out of the squad, wasn't he?
They came on at the end, at the very end, didn't they?
Yeah.
And obviously Son came on.
He was in there the third time, Lee.
Had a good 6 minutes.
It was 3 subs. I think it was 3 subs. Son came on after the hour, and then Bergvall and Jeff Spence right at the end.
And
I don't think we
Danso
made any
came on.
more subs. That memory serves me right.
I got a super chat from a user. I read that Frank will not have the final say on every deal, but he does want to be part of the process, and Spurs have agreed to this. Plus, maybe no tell. Do you know what? I'd be careful what we read because we don't know what the truth is. Got another super chat. Sanila says, "Good evening, guys. Big up to Sanila." And Nick in the house says the club posted a post about Tell going to the under-21s. Bit weird if he hasn't signed. No. Yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird. Yeah.
As in if he wasn't
he's
one of
played
us.
for French
I'm
under
not sure about that one.
He is.
Because if he wasn't if he wasn't staying, he would have carted back. He would have been carted back by now, right? So there's no point us as Tottenham Hotspur promoting the fact that he's playing in the under-21s.
Look, if we sign Tell, I'm going to have a massive bone to pick with so many fans because I was told a lot the last couple of weeks. Why keep Ange? He wants to keep Tell. So Ange is gone now, right? That conversation's dead. If we sign Tell, then Frank wants him, no? Or the club are forcing Frank to take him. So the argument now reverses onto Frank. He's accepting it. But we have to wait and see. We don't know if we're going to sign Tell. Like, who knows what to believe? Who knows what to believe with transfers?
I even blame Jose though.
Okay.
Whilst Jose probably pushed back, well, he did push back against the ownership on various things, as we found out when he left. He still sort of accepted Jedson Fernandez and Rodons and stuff like that, and I think that's wrong. I think the only manager really that kicked up a proper stink, and you could tell from his demeanour that he really didn't like what's happening at Spurs, is Conte. And I've said this many times. I said from the very first game in his second season, something's wrong with Conte. I just could tell in his face. He was thinking, what the hell has happened this summer?
But even Spence, right? And we all know Spence was the club signing. He literally said, "That's a club signing," and he didn't play him. And
we might as well move on to the manager. Like that for me is my look. I really like Frank as a person. When I've seen his historically, not just recently. Now we're getting him, but when I've seen him historically, he speaks really well. He's clearly a very intelligent man. I think he's done brilliant things for Brentford. My major concern with Frank and this Tell thing will be an indication of this is I've always said you need a manager with proper gravitas who can say to the ownership, I'm here and you need to listen to me because I don't know, I'm the bollocks. And I don't know if he's going to be that guy, but maybe him being such a good communicator and articulating his ideas really well, unlike Ange, who,
Frank to me, Maz, sounds more like almost. I don't want to say this because I don't want to make judgment on him right now, but he sounds more like a Nuno type appointment, right? Where it's a case of let's get someone in that is going to coach a football team and leave all the business stuff to us. Don't get involved. Your job is to take that team, make them play, give them the tactics, play the game. We deal with the other side of it.
The team coach should allies with the director of sport, which is
but
another.
We know
that's
not the case.
We don't know. We don't know if Paratici is coming back. We don't know anything regarding who the next football director is. So them two should the coach. I don't know if he's the. See, this is the thing. Is a manager anymore a manager? Is he just a coach of a football team? That's the first thing. So normally a coach and a sporting director allies together to say what players they want to bring in. And for that suits Frank's way.
Listen, no matter what, apart from Conte, sorry, Mara, just to finish. Apart from Conte, who we know had a big blow up because he wants the reins, right? He wants control. He's like a Pep or a Klopp.
Yeah, he's a manager.
Someone like that. I don't see anyone else that's ever really come to Spurs that's had that kind of demeanour, that kind of presence, right? But because that's not what Spurs want. Let's be fair. We could say that. Talking about this whole club signing, pretty much most of them are all club signings. They have a business model, and their business model is don't spend millions and millions of pounds on players, to better the team, spend money on players that have got potential with a sell-on value, and that's been there for years, right? So that's always going to be the case. So they don't want someone that's going to change that business model. It's always been.
Lee,
like
if you
that.
remember, Poch, he said, if you remember, Poch, he said, "I'm just at the very end, he said, I'm just a coach." Yeah, and if you listen to what Guardiola recently said publicly, he said, "I want a smaller squad. I don't want the same situation I was in last year, where I've had to sit players in the stand because my squad was too big." So he's outwardly told the club, shrink my squad. He's making that decision as a manager.
But that's what gravitas gets you, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah,
like if you're when you're Jose and when you apart from Spurs, but when you're Jose or Conte, the clubs listen to you. You know.
Well.
Yeah, the clubs are just the custodian of the finances, right? And then you tell them what you want.
Right? Yeah.
Yesterday, I spent the whole day just looking at what people said about Frank, his interviews, and his tactics, his styles. And one thing I found out is that he's almost like a gentleman. So in regards to interviews, and he's not really going to, he's definitely not going to fight with the media like Ange. So he's definitely going to be a gentleman about how he say or answer things in regards to players and transfers. So I know the club is going to be happy. Levy will be happy about that. But also too, he with Brentford, because I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna play a lot of pragmatic. It was almost like he's forced to play that way at Brentford, because if you look at his history, and even Pep said this, that he actually does play attractive football, but he will really adjust or adapt to what he has. So, when we discuss, how would Tell look in a Frank system? Well, Frank plays a couple different systems, and that's why I put up Ricky Villa's TV. Really, the focus where he says that he plays different systems. From what I've seen and what I hear other people, like I said, I spent the whole day just to look at Frank to get an idea. It's going to be really tricky of what kind of style. Is he going to play the back three? JP said we had 8 center backs, or was it Iggy? Let's say we had 8 center backs, which is not bad if you're playing a back three. Would Udogie and Porro now fully flourish because they can be wing backs? So there's so many questions that come in, but one thing I definitely know from Pep, people who speak about him, people who have worked with him, he's a gentleman. He is, and you're not going to hear anything controversial.
He's certainly
the thing I liked about,
isn't he? He's certainly a good communicator. He comes across well.
Absolutely.
He speaks.
Good communicator.
What he says makes sense. You can understand it clearly. He doesn't look as if he gives you a little bit of bullshit here, and
different from Nuno.
It's all rosy and stuff like that. So,
see, I mean, I've watched a few bits and pieces, and listen, guys, I'll be absolutely honest with you. Frank, for me now, I'm putting him on exactly the same pedestal that I put Ange when he joined. Right? You've not had European experience. You don't know how to do it. You haven't done it on multiple fronts. This is your time to shine, right? So you've got to show me what you can do. Exactly the same as Ange coming from Celtic stuff.
Ange had European experience. He did.
I know that, but he'd never done it in the Premier League, right? There's levels. So he hadn't done it in that. Frank's had Premier League experience, but he hasn't had European experience. Whereas Ange has had European experience, didn't do very well with it, but he hasn't had Premier League experience. That's a step up, right? So I'm going to treat him exactly the same as I treated Ange. I'm not going to say you're going to come in and be a masterclass. You're not going to be shit. You need to show me. So show me progression. The thing that I like about him, though, and I said this when Amorim came into United, when you first see the training sessions, unlike what I watched on Tottenham on the YouTube channel about the training sessions and stuff like that, Andrew with his hands in his pockets, standing by the sidelines, etc., is Frank's involved. He's running the drills. Watching the drills. He's telling players, no, actually, you do this and do that. Don't do this. Maybe move over here. Do this. He's the one that's instigating it all and teaching them all. But also what I liked when I watched the Sky Sports show that he did where he was doing the tactical masterclass or whatever you want to call it, is that he even says himself, which is something that we all pulled Ange up on for how God knows how long, is not having a plan B. Well, he said, well, I've got a plan A. I've then got a plan B, but I've also got a plan AB in case something happens mid-game. I've also got a plan BC, because he adapts and moves depending on where the game's going and what's happening and what the opposition doing. And it's very fresh to see that he's actually got a plan for the top six as well. He says, this is how I play against the top six. We actually do our due diligence before the match. We look at what they do and we plan for that game. We don't just do what our style is. We don't just do the tactics and hope they work. We actually do train to play this particular match. And I think that's what we've been missing. And this is what we've been saying about Ange and his tactics, right? I don't want to go over Ange too much, but I truly believe that in some of those games, if the in-game management was better, we could have probably got better results out of those games, irrelevant of throwing the league, irrelevant of the Europa League. In that moment, in those 90 minutes, if we'd done something different, we could have got more of a result and we'd be higher up the league.
Set pieces too.
That's the frustration. It's not about the losing; it's the frustration of not getting those kind of results. So, I'm on board with Thomas Frank. Great come in. I think it's a bit two-faced for us to say Tell's shit when he's been playing in Ange's tactics that never change and never allows players to shine. Well, now we've got a coach, and we've got a coach that looks at players individually as well. Maybe he can get something out of Tell. He's still only 19, for crying out loud. He's still got plenty of time to find his feet and
but you
find
don't
something.
you don't sign a 30. You don't spend 30, whatever the reported fee, 30, 35 million on.
He's got talent though. Otherwise, he wouldn't be at Bayern Munich, wouldn't he?
I'd rather him work with Mikey Moore.
Yeah,
And develop him more.
we don't have any money, and
him.
we're wanting to blow.
No
30,
pun intended,
35
there,
million
JP.
on.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we really need to.
I think we've got too many wingers, Maz. To be fair, my take on Tell is that we don't need to sign him purely because how many wingers do we possibly need?
We've got loads of wingers. Well, we don't have Werner anymore. Obviously, Tell is. If you don't sign him, he's going back. But Solomon's coming back. You've got Johnson,
Yang, Solomon,
you've got Yang,
Johnson,
Yang,
Odebear, Son. Still,
you know what? We've got such
Mikey
a
Moore.
poor front line. Honestly,
Solomon's
Is that just set in? Is that realization just set in?
It's so bad, honestly, guys.
Yeah.
Like
But this is the thing is, with Mikey Moore, it's the same sort of argument that we had earlier on with the same sort of debate about Davies. Stops Phillips coming through, for example, because it takes that space. Same with Tell. By having Tell on board, it stops Mikey Moore's progress, because Mikey Moore, if you saw a ray of hope of attacking that left-hand side, say, do you know what, I could have a chance here with Son injured and all that. That went away the moment we signed Tell in January. So it does make me wonder where we see what eye do we have for these players. Are we? I mean, right now we're probably the idea would send Mikey Moore on loan and Donnelly.
But I told you, Iggy, before, mate. There's a hierarchy at this place. I'm telling you, and it's based on how much you get paid. If you were to say to me, watch all those games against last season, right, and just concentrate on our wingers and just give me an idea of who should start over who based on what you see with your two eyes, I would say Moore starts over Odebear, he starts over Tell, he starts over Johnson. Even to an extent, I'd say he starts over Son, just based on what he does. But that doesn't happen at Spurs. And that's why Werner was getting so much time. Because I honestly think there's a hierarchy, and that doesn't allow the youngsters to shine. It really doesn't.
That Werner signing the second time, complete. That was a complete failure. That one, because
Complete waste.
An expensive one as well. So
he was at the time injured, didn't he?
It's the second highest, third highest.
Third highest wage puller.
Ridiculous.
We've got a super chat from Dietrich Kane who says, Frank out. Underwhelming signing and no Champions League experience. Enjoy, people. Whoever backs him, we deserve relegation now. He will find hidden gems is the funniest delusional idea.
Yeah, it's nice to see Dietrich's back. He was missing last week, right?
He was missing last week.
I don't know, man.
See, it's statements like that though that I'm sorry, I'm too level-headed for that. We don't know what Frank's ceiling is. We will find out now, though. But everyone has come from his position at some point, right? All of them, Pep, Klopp, they've all come from the position that they've had to take the step up. And this is his turn to do it at Tottenham. So, it's a make or break. I mean, it's not good for us as supporters because we've got to sit through and watch it. But
you see, right? Okay, Pep smashed it with the youth team at Barca. Then the B team in the division below smashed it. He showed a lot of promise, and then his first main job at Barca, he nailed it. You look at people like people brought up Bill Nick and Keith Berkhamshaw when they first came to Spurs. They'd won nothing, but it was their first gig, and they won on their first gig. I think Frank's different. I don't know what Frank's going to do at Spurs. Fuck knows. But
I could argue still that he was. This is exactly the same as what happened at Brentford, right? He was asked to take over the coaching of the first team. Because they've got rid of their manager, and he was so good at it that they ended up keeping him. They said, actually, you can have the job.
But let me finish my point. His first gig was Bromby. He didn't win anything there. And at Brentford, he's been there quite a long time. He's won nothing. And when he was in the championship, he didn't even win the championship. He got the best he did was the playoffs. He lost the first one, and he won the second one. But there's nothing in his history that says winner, nothing. And he's had a few gigs. And but when
you've got to take the next step, right? This is unfortunately Spurs is the next step. We'd rather have a manager that has already taken that step and is coming in, but that's what we've got now. It's as simple as that. There's nothing we can do about it.
But the point being is, Matt, you could say, but Glasner was at Palace, he won the league. But Ranieri was at Leicester, he won the league in the FA Cup. So I don't think that's an excuse to say he's just at Brentford. Sir Alex Ferguson won everything in football at Aberdeen, and that's a 2-horse race league. I don't think that argument has much grounds because there's managers who'd proved themselves at lower levels as winners that earned the right to the big step. For me, Thomas Frank has proved nothing to say he can win on the big stage, whereas previous managers showed they were winners at whatever level they were at. So I don't understand how we say that about Frank. By the way, my personal opinion is Frank's going to come.
I'm with you. As I said, he's on that pedestal now. He's got to show what he's got. I'm not going to say he's going to win anything. He's got to show it. I agree with
you. I think that the difference is I'm where you're at. I think he just needs to if he is going to take the step up, then for the same way that we said about Postecoglou, we've got to judge him on his results, not judge him on what he's like on the camera and whether we like him or not, because that's what everyone did with Postecoglou. They fell in love with him in his interviews in the beginning, right? I'm going to purely judge Frank on what he actually does throughout the season. As long as he doesn't do what Postecoglou does and lies and picks fights with the fans and
he's not like that, though, is he?
Yeah, he's
not. What do you want to see from what do you want Frank to achieve at Spurs? Let's say he's got 2 years, because the average manager at Spurs gets 2 years.
For me personally, now that we've won that cup, the pressure is off. So my outlook on things is a little bit different now. What I would like him to do is re-establish us for his first season, re-establish us back into the top 4, right? And I expect us to account ourselves really well in the cups, if not reach a final. Now, reaching the final of a cup, he might have a bit of bad luck. He might play a Man City or a Liverpool or whatever and get knocked out. That's fair enough. But as long as we play well throughout the whole season, or if we start bad, we finish really strong, then I'm happy with that. But at his following season, I expect big things, because I expect us to, Tottenham, the board say to us all the time that their goal is for the club to win things, achieve big things, take the next step, challenge on all fronts. I'm expecting us to return to the Pochettino era. Now, that's probably really unrealistic, but that's what I want, because we've lost 5 years. It's only last season that we've seen any modicum of success at the club. So I expect us to be back up there challenging. Whether or not that's reasonable or not, as a team that's finished 17th is another question. But you know, let's be honest. Do we really think, right, that Frank is coming in and thinking to himself, oh, okay, if I finish 7th, I'll be all right? Of course he's not. The
But, like,
board are going to be saying to him, we need top 4. We need to qualify for the Champions League again. So everyone is laughing, saying, oh, we're not going to finish top 4 or anything like that in the comments. Doesn't matter what you guys think or what I think. That's what the club have probably told him. 100%. You've got to finish top 4.
Yeah, but
not with that squad, though,
how's that
right?
going to work?
You
How's
ain't
that
going to
going
do
to
it
work?
with that squad.
I don't know
At
how
all.
it's going to work. They're going to have to bloody sign good players, aren't they?
We got top 4 twice with Conte, 5 times with Poch, 1 with Redknapp, and all fans did, including us, was moan, "Where's the trophies? Where's the trophies? Where's the trophies?"
Yeah,
We win a
because we
trophy.
did it consistently, and there was no end result. We did an Arteta, didn't we?
Right. But then we get a trophy and everyone's moaning, why aren't we top 6? Why aren't we top
That's
6? Why aren't we
different.
top
We've
6?
done the complete reversal. We went relegation form and then got a cup, which is, as I said to you in the last show, you can't plan for that. That's not a strategy. That is circumstance.
So what do fans want then, Maz? What is it fans want?
Well, I can't answer for other fans, but what I want is I want a club consistently challenging near the top, right? And trying to win trophies.
But
So
we,
you
we,
go
had
whether-
that, we had that with Poch and it didn't
Top
work.
4 and a trophy.
Yeah, but if it didn't work, it didn't work. But it doesn't mean you don't try and do it, does it?
Yeah, but fans moaned that we didn't win trophies though.
I didn't moan. Well, I didn't moan that we never. Oh, they did moan because we never won trophies because they only got 1 trophy in a
17 years.
Before, just say Poch era, they only had 1 trophy in their name, right? That's why the fans were moaning. If we won a couple of cups before Poch came, they probably wouldn't have moaned as much.
Yeah, but so it is about trophies then.
Well, it's always about
You
trophies.
want both, though,
Well, we
still,
won.
don't you?
Look, we won 1, and
You
we've
want
handed the guy out. So it's
You
not
want
about
both.
trophies. It's this is what I mean. I'm trying to
He
understand.
handed the guy out because he nearly got us bloody relegated still.
But he won us a trophy. So this is my
So?
point. Is it about trophies? Is it league? Is it both?
All right, okay. Let me give you a scenario.
What the
I'm
fans
trying
want,
to- I don't understand.
Let's forget about football. Let's say you're a sales guy, right? And
No, Maz, let's talk about football. Let's do football. I don't want to do these analogies because these analogies don't often have the same context as football.
I think
Let's
there's a
talk about-
contrast in between
they
what
still
the
have a
club want,
context.
what the club want, and what the fans want are 2 different things. The
Yeah,
I'm
club-
asking about
this is a
fans. What do
perfect
fans
analogy.
want?
Right.
This is
I'll
answer
get
it.
to the fans. I'll get to the
Yeah, but
fans.
Iggy, let me answer it. Let me answer
All right, go
the
for it.
question, right? Let me just give you this analogy. Then you can, if it's a shit analogy, we can just say it's a shit analogy. Then Iggy can take over, right? You're a sales guy and you've got a target every year, right? And in the first year, you don't quite reach the target, but you were close. In the second year, you make no sales, but near the end of the year, you win 1 big deal, right? That gets you kudos for getting that big deal, but you missed your target, right? 95% of companies will sack that sales guy, even though he got that 1 big deal, right? Because he's missed all his targets for the 2 years. And that's what's happened to Ange. But he's missed his targets.
All right. What
He's
do
got
fans
one-
want though? My question is, what do fans want?
Well,
Can I answer that? Because I think I'm in a bit of a different position than you still. I've come to, for me, knowing Tottenham and winning trophies or leagues, I think is an unrealistic target and scenario, right? There's only certain clubs that constantly win these kind of things. For me, winning a league or winning any kind of trophy is a bonus, right? So I don't, in reality, I don't go into every season expecting us to win something, right? If we do, great. That means we've got a cohesive team. We've got a manager that knows how to do it. And that's why I'm praising Ange for winning that, because I never expected us to win it. I know a lot of people had us as the favourites to win that Europa League. But at the end of the day, it wasn't until the final couple of games I'm thinking, do you know what? Actually, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can win it, right? It took that long. So for me, as a fan, I go into every season, I don't expect Spurs, after watching them for the last 20 years or so since Levy and that's here, expect them to win trophies. So there is no expectation from me. So anything we do in that season is an absolute bonus and an absolute, fantastic, great. So if anyone, I find it a bit weird that anyone would, knowing Tottenham, would expect them to win anything any season. I don't get that.
Yeah, but Lee, I really hate this argument, right? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but prior to Enoch, we did expect to win trophies. We just didn't do it.
That's why I said 20 years.
Yeah,
yeah,
I know, right? But fans should still expect us to win trophies because we're historically a trophy-winning club. The fact that we don't is why we're all unhappy.
It's just a different, but I get that, Maz, and I do. But Enoch and Levy had a different vision for Tottenham. They wanted to build it as a business. The trophies and the leagues or anything like that is a second to making a sustainable company, which is what they've done. They just haven't pushed on to complete that. So that's why my mentality has changed from previous to we can win a cups and we do this and we do that to actually that's not what they're in for. They seem to be more in for making a sustainable, stable business, and they have criteria as to what they want to and how they want to run the business, rather than doing anything and everything to make sure that we're winning them trophies. Right, that's the difference.
But that's why I would say, sorry, Iggy, that's why I would say is, as fans, we shouldn't be accepting that. We shouldn't be accepting the fact that, we know it's Levy, so we don't win anything. That's why.
Yeah, but that's why we protest.
That's why we go to the protest. That's why we complain. That's why we want him not to be there anymore. So instead of just accepting it, it's because it's there and it's because they have other ideas, they need to know that the number one thing should be football, because that's what the people pay to come in the door.
Absolutely agree. If their philosophy changed and we started thinking like a Man City or a Liverpool, then my philosophy would change, and it would be I would expect that we would at least be winning something each year, because that's where we put ourselves in that standing where we just haven't.
If no one makes that noise,
and that's the board's fault.
If there's only 2,000 people or 500 or 50 when we were going, if no one makes that noise, they don't feel that they have to make that change.
I think the fans, what they want is, and whether it's achievable or not is another discussion, but the fans, I think what they want is for the team to be competing for at least the domestic trophies, be taking them seriously rather than kind of just being half-assed about it, which we have done many a times in the past. In terms of the league standing, is to at least be aiming for European places, be it Champions League, obviously would be ideal, but Europa, that sort of target, and just to be challenging for a trophy. And obviously, the league, we're not set up to win the league because we have too many teams that are ahead of us. That are far, so we would have to bridge that gap to be serious league title contenders, and you'd have to do that on a consistency period of 2, 3, 4 years. Look at Arsenal, 5 years, however many millions, and they're still trying to win that league because you've got so many good teams around us that want the same thing. So for me as a fan, you'd look like in terms of the league standings, be for the European places, because we cannot go for more than that as we are, unless so many variables change at a club. And to be taking the cup competitions very, very seriously, to do the absolute maximum in every round, to go as far as possible. Then if you win, at the end of the day, one team can win it at the end of the day. So, but you want to look at it and say, you know what, we're giving it a good crack at it. And that's all you can ask for. That's what the fans want. Now,
but we
this season, the failures were obviously in the league. Yes, we won a trophy, but there was completely we were flawed in the league standing. That can't be acceptable. So now that we found ourselves we won a trophy, so that monkey's off our back in terms of like that stick that we was always getting battered with at the end of every season. So now this season, what I would like to see, Frank, is to aim for those European spots. Now, top 4, I agree, Maz, it should be the aim. I don't think it's a realistic aim for for Frank and this squad that we have. I think to get back into Europa is that for me would be more of a target. Now, if you overhaul the team and get better players in, and then all of a sudden the expectations can rise. But as it stands, for me, this squad, and I said this last season, is nothing more than a 5th to 8th. That's where I see Tottenham Hotspur as it stands today. If things happen in the transfer market that makes me change my mind, then I'll look into it again. But right now, that's where I see us. And what Frank has to do is to take those cup competitions seriously. Now, whether the club allows him to do that or not, because in the past, the priority has always been league position when it gets to the ground. So I don't know. But that for me is where I see Tottenham being.
And this is what I'll keep saying, and I'll never stop saying it. You have to have managers that really rate themselves and don't take shit. Not ultimate yes men like Ange, who just says yes, 3 bags full.
So let me answer Stell's question, because
nobody's answered it.
It's really, I'm not telling what I want. It's really Spursy, because and it's almost like, be careful what you, because all of us, I think, said, oh, you have to win a trophy because we're desperate. Finish 15th, right? No one said 15th. Actually, we said we'll finish 10th, win a trophy, right? Because it seemed respectable.
Mario, if you had finished 10th and won a trophy, Ange Postecoglou would still be in the job today.
Yeah, we'll still be in the job.
If Tottenham had finished in the top half of the table, he would still be
in the job. But 17th looked ugly, right? And where, yes, everybody wants a trophy, right? But how the season went, like, we didn't be excited for big games like Arsenal, Liverpool, because Wolves came coming in thinking we are Pornhub FC, Bend Over FC, we're about to get smashed, and watch the Spurs through the years, though we didn't win nothing. We had some classic games we could throw up, Battle of the Bridge, Harry Kane's brace against City, like big games that brings wonderful memories. Then the ultimate memory comes where the league has been shit. The domestic cups, in my opinion, were also really shit. How we went out against Villa and Liverpool. So we experienced this glory, but then look at the players that we talked about who were on the team: Solanke, Tell. Other than Son, we're like, we're not talking about these players like Ginola or Gareth Bale, Eriksen, Modric, Dembele, So to say is, yes, I want a trophy, but I also want our team to be respectable, because I know a trophy is not guaranteed every year. Look at City. City did not win a trophy. Real Madrid, other than winning their Super Cup, didn't win a trophy, right? Other than the Super Cup. Like, they were completely blank. So it's not automatic. So when you don't get that trophy, what do you fall back on? The league. In the league, we were terrible. Since the Chelsea game, everybody's been figuring us out.
Murray, sorry to interrupt you. I've been quiet for 15 minutes. No one's answered the question, man, and now you're going off on one as well. I'm sorry, man. I don't want to be rude.
No,
what do fans want? You're repeating everything I've heard the last 6 weeks. Poor in the league, embarrassing. I get it.
Yeah, but how can we answer for fans though?
Want to win the league?
Well, tell me what you want as a fan. Then what do you?
I just told you.
All right, I want to be a respectful team.
What does that mean? What does respectable mean? Because to me, winning a trophy is the most respectable thing you can achieve. So we might have a different definition of it. What does respectable mean to you?
Respectable team, a good team that wins trophies. We were a dross team that won a trophy. And normally, dross teams don't win trophies.
But Murray, just to clarify to me then, right? So you want a team that plays good football wins trophies, not a team that doesn't play good and wins trophies. Is that right?
I want a good team.
So it's about entertainment then. It's about good football for you.
A good team that wins trophies. This team was a draw.
So for you, it's the way we play is the most important thing, not the
because
trophy.
being a good team
Not really
doesn't
the way it
necessarily mean
plays,
you
not
play
really the
brilliant
way we
football,
play.
is it?
It's just that it's more consistency. I believe that you're more consistent to win trophies if you're a good team, because draws teams can't repeat winning trophies.
Mourinho made a career out of it.
Yeah, but they never.
No,
but hold
they were
on,
good
Stel.
teams.
There
They didn't
weren't.
have
There weren't.
draws
There
teams.
weren't
They were good
crap
teams.
were
It's
they?
the play style. I think you're confused. I'm not talking about the play
These Real
style.
Madrid teams stunk out Spanish
But
football.
they were a good team.
Stunk
But
out.
they're a good team.
No, they had amazing players.
Inter Milan, treble winning team, is not beautiful football, but they were a good team. They
Oh,
They
right.
were-
So a good team is a team that wins. Then
yes, a good
didn't
team
Ange win?
that wins.
Didn't hold on 1 minute. Okay. Didn't Ange win?
Yeah, with a draw
pro-
team. Like,
Would you say that that's a good team?
Bro, I'm trying to understand. What do you mean by good? Define
Oh,
good
Stel,
to me. I
Stel,
don't
you
get
want-
it.
Stel,
This,
all right,
you can't
Stel,
answer this question.
the next question-
Mari, just don't answer it.
This is
Don't
where I
answer it.
got-
No, I want to know because, like,
You
Lee, I
right,
don't
right.
get
Just
this.
don't answer it.
So, do you want? All right, do you want Tell? Do you want Davies? Do you want Basuma? Do you want, like, I'm naming the players that I hear people that want to get rid of 75.
Every fan wants to win trophies. Every fan wants their team to win the league. Every fan wants everything. But the bottom line is, this team right now should be challenging for European places and attempting to go all out and winning domestic trophies. That's what I would like this Tottenham team that it is right now. Of course, if you ask me what I want, I'll say the league. I want a Champions League. I want the league. I want a league title. That's what I want to see. But it's not going to happen. So to answer your question, then, would you accept that winning a Europa and finish 17th, is that acceptable to you?
Absolutely.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
me.
Cool. Let's agree to disagree then.
Because-
I think it's shambolic to lose 22 games. A manager at this level of a Tottenham Hotspur Football Club losing 22 games out of 38 is unacceptable at any level.
Who cares if we're back in the Champions League? Who cares?
Cool. No, you asked me a question. I'm giving an answer. Then
I'm asking you, why do you care?
So you think?
it's
So,
absolutely fine.
so you think he's going to repeat that next season?
I just
Stel?
think it's great.
That's a different question. My question was, what do fans want?
You asked the question as in, what do fans want? I told you what I want. I said, if you're asking me what I want league titles, I want Champions League, I want everything. That's me. But what I'm saying to you, this Tottenham team, if you ask me,
So we're not going to get that under Enoch and Levy, though, are we?
We can all agree with that.
So what do we realistically want then?
No, but the
What do
question
we realistically want as fans? What do we realistically
I
want
said
as fans?
this team should be fighting to get into Europe every year. Now, Europe means Champions League. I think it's a big battle, and I think we need to do a bit of work.
But Iggy, we did that, and we handed the managers out. We did that. We handed those managers out that got Europe.
Yeah, but that's because the club.
handed them out.
No, fans. I was at the games. Fans were booing Conte. Fans were booing Mourinho. They were getting us into Europe.
then
I was at those
shame on
games.
When we first got fourth with Conte in that first season, we was all happy, man. All of us.
Yeah, and then a year later, when we got fifth with Ange, fans were happy.
there was flaws and there was shortcomings of the club to back Conte for what he wanted to do.
They were still singing Conte's name,
I'm
by
not
the
used
way.
to fighting for 7th and 8th place. I'm used to for bigger things. And we didn't go with that. That's the bottom
So
line.
it's not about the
point.
manager. Then it's about the way the club's run.
No,
Absolutely.
One
This
point.
is what this 25 years.
And what Mari said has no substance because what Mari
No,
wants,
that's
changing
not
the manager won't get you
right.
that, Mari. Changing the manager won't get you what you want, Mari. So this is
what
where I'm going with this, guys. I don't know if you've noticed. What fans want, I don't believe is possible changing managers. What
But
fans
how
want
often-
is an unrealistic proposal because
No, but what you
How
want is
often have I
okay.
said
But the
it doesn't
opposite
matter
of
who
what
the
you want.
manager is?
Yeah,
It doesn't
but the
matter who
opposite of
manager
what
is.
you want,
I've said this
the
many
opposite
times.
of what you want doesn't lead. It's a road to nowhere. Right?
I've said it many. Maz, I've said many times. It doesn't matter
But the
who the manager
opposite.
is.
But the problem with Stel's question is
I just want
opposite
trophies,
of what
Maz. I don't
you
care
want.
how we do it. I just want trophies. I don't care how we get there.
Right. So, but your way, right, is not something you can plan for. You can't plan to finish 17th and win a trophy. All right. And the club can't plan just to go for cups. Doesn't work that way.
And
What do you mean plan? What do you mean plan? What do you mean, guys?
You
What do you
buy
mean plan?
players, you
What do you mean
buy
plan?
players, and you set the targets of the team
Yeah.
to achieve certain things throughout the season. Yeah. Right. Therefore,
The number one aim should be win a trophy, no?
Right, win a trophy and finish as high up in the league.
Who cares
as
where we
possible.
finish if you
With
win trophy?
Ange,
Who cares? Like, why do you
because
care
if you
about
don't win a trophy, it
But he
destroys
did.
the club.
Yeah, but you've got 20 other clubs in the league that are saying the same thing. You can't all win it.
All right.
And there's 38 games.
At every game I go to at Spurs and all around the stadium and 5 minutes before kickoff, the message that's pumped out is the game is about glory. That's what it runs through the club on the socials, in the stadium, on the big screens, the music they play before they come out. It's about glory. That means trophies to me, right? We did it.
But
We
glory
did
is
that.
playing.
That's
But glory
Glory's
is
just winning.
having a
Be winning
team
a match.
that
Glory's just
actually
winning.
Something
has-
No,
different.
glory comes from the 50s. Glory, Tottenham Hotspur when we won our first league title. It's about trophies.
And also
glory
toilet
comes from
cubicles.
having good players, having
and Dyson
a team-
hand dryers and the
a team that can beat other teams, their peers, right? A team that doesn't get pumped every single week, a manager that doesn't argue with the fans, a club with a good mentality to go and buy good players. We don't have any of that, and
But that's not.
manager
But that's
never
not the
brought
manager,
any
though,
of
is it,
that.
Maz? That's not the
It
manager.
is the manager. No, it is the manager. You spent all of last season saying that was the manager.
We
You
just did the
signed
start of the show talking about
so-
Mateus and Ben Davies coming in when it's not Frank's choice.
Yeah, but Timo Werner twice. You should have resigned at that point, then, shouldn't
Playing
you?
the high line
Yeah,
with
so
Ben
Thomas
Davies.
Frank should resign immediately. The fact that Ben Davies is staying, then.
Yeah.
Playing the high
So-
line with Ben
My
Davies.
thing is,
Even though
That's
he's
just-
not an employee of the club, you might as well resign. Yeah.
my
So
thing is,
we're all Frank out then,
but
yeah.
that's
We're all
just
Frank
my
out.
thing is, what happens if glory doesn't happen? In the sense of you're a season ticket holder,
Yeah.
and you're pretty much like, well, why am I going to the games? Let me just wait till February. The FA Cup, like, I might as well wait till February to the FA Cup. Hopefully, hope that we avoid Liverpool and Manchester City to get that glory. I don't know how you.
If you believe the same season last year would repeat itself, yes. If that's your belief, yes.
That's tough, man.
Listen,
That's,
No, guys,
Yeah, why didn't
we
you have
won.
the same? Why didn't you
That
have
is
the
pretty
same,
tough to
same
swallow.
victory
Look,
of Ange in his first season when he got pumped in all the cups?
Listen,
Right,
and
as to his second season.
because I never believed he was a winner at this club.
Right, there you go.
Do you know,
So
do you know
what
what,
makes you think
guys?
he's
At
going
the
to
end
win
of the
his third
day,
season?
Because he proved
winning
me
a
wrong.
trophy, winning a
wrong.
trophy,
What, in
was-
90 minutes?
winning
No,
a trophy
over the
was
course of the
fantastic.
competition. The cup wasn't won in 90 minutes. The cup was won over the course of the competition.
No,
That's
but
the
I
weak
think-
argument fans put out there to
No,
to-
I think the
dismiss
point is,
the 15 games we had to play to get
It's
to
not
that
a weak
final.
argument because
No,
Wigan
I
were a
think
crap
the
team.
point
and they
is-
We
won
weren't
the
great
FA
in
Cup.
those 15
the
games.
point is, in the end,
Yeah, but
in the
Wigan
end,
found glory that year. Well done to them, you know.
no, but
Yeah,
in
and
the
then they
end,
got relegated and never came back.
We never
No,
got relegated.
in the end,
on
it
that.
did come to
We
90
never got
minutes, though,
relegated.
didn't it? In the end,
Huh?
it did come down to 90 minutes because we were 90
Well,
minutes
every
away.
every
No,
cup
hang
final.
on, hang on. Let me just round up. I hear what you're saying, man. The cup. Listen, I will forever be eternally grateful for Ange Postecoglou for delivering a trophy that hasn't been seen at White Hart Lane since fucking 84, 41 years ago. But fundamentally, if you look at it from if you look at it the whole thing, we were 90 minutes away from being one. Like fucking salvaging it, but winning a trophy, that's one thing. Getting Champions League football, which in the end it turned out wicked. But we could be sitting here today if we had lost that game, fucking 17th in the league, no Europe next season, shitloads of like money
Job
lost.
done. I know.
I don't think from a club's point of view they could risk a season like that even anywhere near happening again. That's for me why I think he lost his job in the end. But I said earlier, if Ange Postecoglou finished mid-table and Europa, he'll be there this season. I really do believe that.
I said I got asked the question in his first season: what does Ange need to do for me to get behind him? And I said, even if he wins one cup, he needs to consistently do it over a few years. What he'd done was he started well, finished badly, continued to be badly, right? Then managed to put a cup run together where in the 3 games out of the God knows how many games in the Europa League, he managed to pull it through. That for me is not a sign of a good manager. That is not nowhere near the consistency.
Maz, can I ask you a
wanted to
question?
see.
Can I ask you a question? If we could start this season over again and I gave you 2 scenarios, what would you pick? Finishing 17th and lifting the Europa Cup, or getting to the quarterfinals, not winning anything, but coming fourth.
But that's a fantasy question. You're asking me to choose which fantasy I love.
I can answer that question.
Right.
Why is that a fantasy
Cosplay.
question? Ange
sorry.
got fifth last year.
Because
he got
because
fifth
you
last year,
can't
just
predict the
focusing on the league.
future. Because you can't
No.
predict the future.
No,
That's
I'm
why.
giving you a scenario, right? I'm basing on some reality.
But football isn't. But what you're doing is like you're.
Well, I'm seeing where your priorities are as a fan. That's what I'm doing. I want to see where you're at because we got fifth last year.
Because that's
we got
for
fifth
one
last year,
season.
just focusing on the
That's
league.
for one season. Why don't you ask me what I want over 10 seasons?
Because Ange got sacked off of one season. So
But he
I
was
want
there
to
for
know.
two. Right, but if
And
he
the first season
he
he got fifth, qualifying for the competition. He won the
if
following
you
season.
said over 10 seasons, he can
See,
finish.
look, there you go. Look, he
17th.
asked. Look, Johnny asked. Look, Johnny, he'd take fourth instead of the trophy.
Right,
There
yeah,
you go.
that's fine. But how's that material to
For
what
me,
you
that's
want
a
to hear?
problem. For me, this is a problem.
No, it's not a problem.
Yeah, but that's just your opinion, isn't it?
That's your. Why is
My
that?
answer,
That's why I said it's a problem for me. I never said for you.
Yeah,
for
but
me.
whenever this
My answer
and I'll be as
is-
respectful as I possibly can.
That's
Every
what
time
that's
this
what, that's what Arsene Wenger said. Top four is a trophy. Johnny
every
is
time
the
this
No,
Arsenal-
but
question
he was
comes
winning
up,
FA Cups at the same time.
every
Yeah, but
time this
Johnny,
question
the
has come
scenario
up,
there where Johnny said fourth was no trophies.
Why don't you say do what Wenger did? Why don't you say, Maz? Why don't you finish fourth and win an FA Cup every year like Wenger?
Because no manager's
Why are
ever
you
done
giving
that.
me
Tottenham
Ange's
Hotspur.
scenario?
No manager's ever done that. Tottenham, Maz. It's
Doesn't
unrealistic.
matter. Other managers
No,
do it at other clubs. Why can't we do it?
But that's why I said to you, I'm giving you a
Maybe that's
realistic
why they've been
scenario.
fired.
You're not creating
What teams?
unrealistic
Okay, let me
scenarios.
flip it for you. What
No,
teams
answer the question, Maz, because what
No.
you're doing is you're deflecting, trying to
I'm not deflecting.
regurgitate the question
No,
to a different question.
I'm
Arsene
giving you
Wenger
another
said
question
top
to
four is a
show how
trophy.
bad your question is.
No, I'm showing how you don't answer questions though, because I went
you're
first. Answer the question, then I'll
I
answer
did
yours.
answer your question.
No,
and
you
I
didn't.
said
You
your
deflected.
question's wrong. No, I
Maz,
didn't.
that's not answering it. You're deflecting. That's what
I'm
politicians
not
do.
deflecting.
It is, that's why you're
What
laughing
you're trying
now.
to do
You're
is you're
laughing
trying to
'cause-
pigeonhole me into your binary.
I'm trying to
question.
get
I'm
you
trying to show you
to
that
show
if
me
you
what your
flip the
priority is,
question-
because
No,
when I
if
say
you
to
flip the
fans,
you're
all right,
saying
don't
to
answer the
me-
question. I'll
No,
answer yours. Don't answer
you're
mine.
saying
I'll
to
answer yours.
me-
Go on. Go on.
You're
You ain't
saying to
answering my
me,
question.
it's okay. I'm not asking you a question. If you're saying to me, right,
Yeah.
what would you rather do X and Y? But you're not and that only happens at Spurs. And if I flip that question and say, yeah, but hold on, what happens at Spurs doesn't happen at other clubs, right? It's the same type of question.
No,
it's
it
a
doesn't.
fantasy.
It's
Right,
not fantasy, mate.
because what you're saying is what we did never happens at other clubs, and what they do never happens at Spurs. That's
No,
what
what
you're
I'm saying is no, because I specifically said the word realistic outcomes that can happen at Spurs, because what happens at other clubs isn't realistic for us. It simply
And
isn't.
the realistic and your outcome that you're giving me is unrealistic. To say that we're gonna
It's
next year we're gonna
No,
finish
no,
17th
I
and
never
win
said
another
next
cup
year.
is
No, again,
unrealistic.
that's not what I said, Maz. You're twisting the question. As I said to you, if you could restart this season, I said, and you could pick an outcome, the one we just got, 17th and Europa, or no trophy, but we get top four, what would be your preferred option? Yeah, what would you choose?
ask me.
I always pick the trophy.
Well, what Maz? Well, exactly,
I
Maz.
always pick the trophy.
And
But
that's what we got.
That's not life.
And that's what we got.
That's not life. It's like saying, Maz, when you go out to a club,
How is
would
that
you
not
rather
life?
get a bird or not get a bird? I'm always going to pick a bird, aren't I?
No, because I'm being realistic. I'm being realistic because
Maz,
at Spurs,
would you rather pull a really hot girl, right, and not take her home, or would you rather go and pull a not a hot girl,
no, because
right, and then take her home? And you can be like, well, I'd rather, take her home.
Not at all. I'm using realistic scenarios that have happened at Tottenham Hotspur. Under Spurs, managers under Enoch and Levy have either won a trophy and not done well in the league, or they've done well in the league and not won a trophy. So I gave the two scenarios: doing well in the league or winning a trophy, because that's how it works at Spurs under this ownership.
I have an answer here. I said a couple weeks ago.
Not really.
By the way, people in the chat, right? Look, I don't mind if you want to, get involved in this and that. But the shit I'm getting in the chat, honestly, people, like, I'm a human being, right? I'll deal with it. Listen, I'll deal with it. I still come back on the channel and whatnot. But you need to relax. We are debating what we think fans might want, might not want. And we're discussing what we think. If that's too much for you to consume without being respectful and going OTT, just take a break. Go get a beer, go put the kettle on and come back. Because the chat's just becoming rancid at times, man. Like,
and we said that Saturday, guys, You guys did a good job. Please continue to be classy. Enjoy the show. Just state your opinions. Don't be talk about people that way.
It's not, by the way, just so people can understand, right, watching the show, it's not easy being a person that's got a different view to everyone else on every show and having to sit there and do this. Believe you me, it's not an easy thing, all right? So relax, guys. Otherwise, I'll just agree with all these guys and I'll just sit back and go quiet and you can have the show that you want, which is basically the echo chamber you all complain about. So I don't know. What do you want, echo chamber or not? You know?
So my answer is simple. It's just for only this season, because for me, and I've said this, because I know your answer, because after the show, I showed the scenario. For me, I would get bored after the first Europa and then the FA Cup. I want bigger and better things, and to get bigger and better things, you have to finish within the top 4 to challenge for the league and for the Champions League. I know Dan said we have never been a league team whatsoever. I don't care. For me, what will have me in like big time tears, what will have me go batshit crazy nuts is the day that we win the league. Like, and so for me, I will eventually, though I want trophies, I would get bored. My standards would be like, nah, I want to get the league and the Champions League. So I would only accept it for
Mari,
one.
the question is a deflection, right? The question
I get it. I'm answering. I said yes.
No,
for
but
one.
no, I need to come in, right? The question is a deflection because it's like pick what you want, and it's not about picking what we want, right? It's about the manager being good and setting up the team for success, right? And what he set up is not setting up the team for long-term success or even medium success or even short-term success. It's basically hoping that he has a cup run every year. You don't have a manager just hoping that. You have a manager to try and build the team, right, for success over multiple seasons. That's what you want. That's why the question is stupid, because he's trying to pigeonhole you. So I'm not saying you're stupid, though, but the question is, right?
I'm not pigeonholing you. I'm giving you realistic scenarios that happen to every manager at this club.
You're Richarlising me.
What does that mean?
You're pigeonholing me.
No, that's you trying to wriggle out of it. That's you. You label something you don't like and wriggle out of it.
I'm giving a jovial answer to the question.
It's like Keir Starmer when he doesn't like something. Far right. Let me label him far right. All far right. That's what you're doing. You're basically okay. Fine. I'm pigeonholing. I'm Richarlising you. You're Starmering me.
But it is though. I'm right in what I'm saying, aren't I?
And I'm right. You're being a bit socialist,
right? Stop being far right, still. Right? I'm right because right.
All right, Lefty.
I'm right. I'm right.
You know that picking.
But you just said to me, I'm far right.
Picking Ange and keeping him for next season is a gamble. It's Russian roulette. You don't know what he's going to do. Right, and you know that he's going to lie, and you know he doesn't know how to eye a good player when he sees one, and you know that he's going to re-sign Tell, right, and you know that likelihood is in the first
the question
10 games he's probably going to get sacked.
I know it wasn't going to keep right. Still, ask me.
Right, so why are you asking the question if you know he's a crap manager? Because he won.
I asked you a question because we were talking about what do fans want? Is it trophies, league position, or both? And I wanted to see where you're at realistically. That's what my question's about. Because what I hear from some fans is, I'm embarrassed we came 17th, right? I'm embarrassed we came 17th. I'm not embarrassed. No one's bantered me this summer. Not one rival fan's bantered me. So people that are embarrassed, I think, create drama. Because right now, fans are like, do you know what? Let's leave Spurs alone for a minute because they've won a trophy. I'm far from embarrassed. Fans that say, oh, the trophy's not good enough because, fans that say the opposite. What was it again? The league's embarrassing. Yeah. Fans that say they don't care about the trophy if the league's not good enough. Then I say to them, well, fine. But when we were doing well in the league, we hounded 12 managers out of this club. I was in that stadium when fans booed Poch out of the stadium. And I turned around to the people I go with and I said to them, why the fuck are you booing Poch? He's the best thing we've had. They were all booing Poch out. So for me, the league Yeah, they say it now, but that's not really what they want. They want trophies, but when we get it, they've got to win the league.
I didn't want Martin Joel out, even though he never won us a cup. I didn't want Redknapp out when he didn't win us a cup. In fact, I didn't even want AVB to be sacked, even though we'd lost heavily against those teams, right? Was it Liverpool and whoever? I can't remember now, right?
Guys,
the
chat won't need to speak. The chat won't need to speak. Let Lee speak.
I just want to say one thing. Stel, your argument about managers got kicked out, right? Managers got kicked out because they finished fourth. They didn't get kicked out because they finished fourth. They got kicked out the year after when they weren't doing so well.
Yeah, because the club wants league position. It wants top 4.
Yeah, but they didn't get kicked out because we finished fourth. They got kicked out afterwards when they weren't.
Conte was sacked when he was 4th.
Yeah, because he blew up the whole.
Conte is slightly different.
Harry got sacked when he was 4th. Harry Redknapp got sacked when he was 4th.
Yeah, and he should never have got sacked.
AVB got sacked when we were 5th.
Harry Redknapp was going to.
Yeah, but Harry Redknapp got sacked because he was flirting with the England job. Conte got sacked. Well, okay. And Ange got sacked because he promised Levy a title run. How about that?
He also told us he'd win a trophy in his 2nd season. He did it.
Yeah, but he didn't say, I'm going to win a trophy and give 17th, like what you're asking us to.
Lee, you speak. Lee, you speak. Go on. He's waiting. The poor guy's waiting.
You're mute.
Oh, you missed your chance now.
Just to go back to the question that you asked. If we went back to the beginning of the season...
Lee, why are you echoing?
Because I'm trying to make the point. If we went... Sorry.
If we went back to the beginning of the season...
I'm joking. And you offered me either the Europa League and 17th or 4th place in the league. That's what you asked.
Yeah.
100% of the time, my response to that would be I would take 17th and that cup because it does 2 things for this club. It gets them a trophy and gets them back into Europe. There's your targets for this club. And that's a realistic target, right? Because, hold on, Maz. Because
you can argue with Maz.
I know I'll tell you why. Because that 17th in the league gets reset as soon as the league is over, right? And now we're back to square one. We're challenging the league again. But what it does not change is my decision on whether I move forward with the current manager. That's a completely different question.
Lee, how many seasons can you guarantee me that? How many seasons can you guarantee me that for?
I've already told you, Maz. There's the only
Every
guarantee,
season?
the only realistic target every season for Spurs, the way that it's run right now, is to realistically win either the League Cup or the FA Cup, unless we're in the Europa League, which I think is another cup where we've got the ability to win it if we want to win it.
Which clubs
Other than that,
have finished? So let's talk about this. Which clubs that have finished 17th, right, and win a cup every season? Name me the clubs that do that.
None of them.
Exactly.
It's very rare.
That's why
situation.
the question is silly, because you're giving
Man United almost did it, but
that is so unlikely, and only Tottenham have done.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Which is the reverse of being up in the top 6 places and winning the cup, aka Arsenal, aka Newcastle, aka Leicester when they were up there, aka other clubs, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, right? That is why I don't like the question, because it's giving a scenario that only Tottenham have ever replicated.
It's an anomaly. It's an anomaly.
It's an anomaly. Exactly.
17th and winning a trophy is the greatest anomaly in football.
But still wants us to pick every season. 17th
normally
that'll never happen.
I'm not talking about
I said every season. You're doing the Starmer shit again, bro. I said this season, if we to restart this one season, what would you pick? I never said about every season.
How's that justification for the
because
next
we're not going to
season?
finish 17th every season.
But how is
this
that
year,
justification for the next season? That's
you're talking. Next season's irrelevant. Ange isn't here. We don't know what's going to happen.
We all said we'll take finishing 17th in a trophy. I think we all said that,
and we got it.
And we got it. We're all happy, yeah.
No,
Right?
well, are we?
Now
Are we
you're
happy?
asking me to choose it though. But you're asking me now to choose it, and I'm saying it's never going to happen again ever.
Yeah, no, Maz. I never asked you now to choose it. I asked if we could repeat this whole season, having seen how it's panned
But we've
out.
done it, so why are we going to repeat the season? We're talking
Because
about
I want
here
to
now,
see-
if you
going
know the
forward.
outcome,
Because I want
if
to
you-
see if your priority is the trophy or fourth. If you're to
no,
redo this
if
season,
you told me
I
would you
want to
take
look at it.
17th again next year and the trophy, I would say, yeah, of course I would, because I know that whatever happens, the last game is gonna be someone's gonna go, here's the trophy, mate. I'll take that every season if I had a choice, because if anything that involves
What if that trophy is the
ending with
Super
a
Cup?
trophy for me is
Charity
winning. Okay. But having said that, man, we cannot accept as a club to having to sacrifice one to get the other. We should be able, like I said, it's a rarity to see a team finishing just above the relegation and winning a trophy, man. It's such a rare thing to do that we should accept it. It's happened this year, and I'd have taken that anything that involved Tottenham winning a trophy after so many years. I'd have taken any kind of scenario. And honestly, like I'd almost even tempted to say I'll take even relegation to get a trophy. That's how desperate I was to win a trophy. Having said all of that, we can't sign up for that. Again this season, because we're massively underperformed in the
Why,
league this year.
What's going to happen again, Iggy? Why is it going to happen
We're
again?
massively underperformed in the league this year, man.
Can
You guys say like you pay like premium prices, man, for season ticket. You guys are season ticket holders. Would you have, knowing that you'd have to accept 22,
wanna go
23
for that.
defeats a season?
I don't want to go through that season again.
22, 23.
But when we
defeats.
didn't go through that, we
It's in the
wanted
Premier League.
those managers out as well, Iggy. When we didn't go through it, we
I
wanted
never
those
wanted
managers.
them out. I never wanted Conte.
Not you,
wasn't.
but most fans did.
But no. When you say fans, is that I don't think everybody want. I didn't like Conte.
You were the only channel defending Conte, Iggy. Every channel wanted him out.
I
There's
never
about
wanted him out. I wasn't a massive fan of his football, but I knew what he was trying to do, and I backed it.
But he had limited resources.
I wanted Pochettino. I wanted Ange Postecoglou to do well. Of course I did. And the next manager, I would want him to do well. But the bottom line is, yeah, we're arguing the wrong point. The point of the matter is, it's we want something that this ownership won't give us. So our energy is focused on the wrong part of our football team, which is the manager. When you know for a fact, it don't matter. We've had them all.
That's my point, Iggy. That's my point.
We've had them all. We've had the elite managers. We had we've had good managers, shit managers, quality manager, elite managers. Fundamentally, man, what's flawed is the club, man. Is the regime is what's flawed, and unfortunately, what we all want as fans, of course, we listen. I wrote it early on in the comments. I want my team to be fighting. In terms of the league, this Tottenham side, of course, I want them to win the league. I agree with Mario. I want to see Champions League. I would love to see the league. But under this regime and the way we set up, we're not going to do that. So the best I can hope for under this regime is top 7 position, because that allows us to enter Europe every year, which I do want to see Europe in football, even if it is Europa. And the other thing I think that we do wrong as a club is not really take a domestic football series, cup competition seriously. For some reason, even Ange Postecoglou did it. Like when he first started, he took it really underhand. And with that shit team that he put out against Fulham away, man, I was cutting that shit brown kit. I'll never forget that. I'm thinking, why do we always do this? Like, why don't we take cup competition? Even if you lose a game or two in the league, you can always make up the points after. Why can't we in that week say, you know what, this cup round, we have to get through the next round and we have to go hell bent on getting through? That's what I want to see, because I think that is, you might sacrifice a game or two in the league in order to do that because of your squad or whatever. But I really do think at the business end of the league, you always get in thereabouts in the top half of the table and top 6, 7, 8 places, which is where Tottenham, I believe, should be anyway. But then you're like, you know what, we got something to play for here because we got the cup run going on, and that's what's allowed us to win the Europa, because we was always in the cup run, even though we lost so many players, all of that, because of the you call it what you want, the level of the opposition or whatever, blah, blah, blah. We was always the better team. And we always said that, you know, you said yourself, like, if we play Lazio or something, we're going to get touched. Then Lazio get knocked out. But it's just opened up here. And then you get Man United, don't you know what I mean? We've beaten them 3 times. They're shit. We could win this. Do you know what I mean? The belief came with every round that we went through. That's because we took it seriously, because we had nothing else to play for. And sometimes I do think we're so hell-bent on focusing on the league. We fuck off the domestic cup so early on. Then you look at the league after and you think, oh, fucking hell, if only we were still in the cups. And that's for me is what we get wrong. We go out of the cup so early on. We should always push to get as far as possible, because it gives us something to play for in the business end of the season. And then in the league, what do you finish 8th or 9th? Who cares, man, for one season? Like,
yeah, but but whilst doing that, Iggy,
we could have done a lot better than the 17th this year. I do think
the important point
we could have finished top 10 easy.
The important point you missed, Iggy, right, is let's do that, but let's not have the ultimate yes man, right? The Levy puppet giving out his propaganda week in, week out. A manager that picks fights with the fans.
Maz,
right?
under this ownership, my man, you're not going to get that. Conte was the ultimate no man. He wasn't the yes man.
But at least I liked him. At least I liked Jose. At least I liked Poch.
And Jose,
was a reasonable guy.
They collided in the end. And when you fight the Emperor, Jose and Conte were two managers that went against him.
What are you saying, Iggy? Are you saying that you'd rather keep Ange then?
No. I'm saying. No. Forget Ange. Forget Ange. Ange is gone. Forget that. All I'm saying is that I'm not saying the ultimate yes man is the solution, but I'm saying we've had the people that are not ultimate yes man. They've gone against the board and they've lost.
But I'd rather have that than have the ultimate yes man.
But these owners will not make that mistake again. You'll never see. You'll never see another Conte again in this club. You won't.
But in a way, right? I don't care. Now we've won the cup. I don't care whether so much whether Ange stayed or not, right? Everyone knows my position on Ange, right? I don't really care. But given the choice, I would rather have a manager that I actually like. And that's the point. I don't see how this is even an argument. Right?
Like he was. Which manager?
Well, anyone but Ange at the moment.
Who?
Well, we know who's coming in. I'd rather have Frank than Ange. I think that's.
Did you like any of the previous managers?
Yeah, Conte I liked.
He got booed out of the club more than anyone. He got booed out as well.
That doesn't mean that I don't want that, though, does it?
It just goes to show as a fan base, though, we don't want that. It's not going to work, is it?
What? So you want robots that all believe in the same thing?
No, I want managers that win trophies at Spurs.
Right, but what's that? Yeah, but if they were given the same grace as what he was, they may have won it, but they weren't.
But those managers got kicked out by easy teams. Ange never.
But they never got afforded the same money.
Ange lost to who? He lost to Fulham, a Premier League club. He lost to Liverpool, the league champions. He lost to Villa.
They're never backed in the same way.
Still, there's a bit of a difference to losing to Liverpool and getting rolled over and bumped.
He wasn't backed in the same way, was he?
No, but he had a much better forward line. Look at our forward line; it's dog shit.
But he still wasn't backed in the same way. He wanted certain.
Ange wasn't backed. Werner, Odegaard,
all the players you want. Your man told us that he did.
We just said at the start of the show that clearly managers aren't in charge of players coming in.
And just taking credit for bringing everyone in because you won a cup, so you can't say he wasn't.
Mourinho never moaned. Poch never moaned. Only Conte moaned.
Jose did moan. Right, and Poch did moan. In fact, Jose moaned so much he made the chairman sack him.
Jose never moaned about the transfers. He never said it was their fault.
He did because Levy was trying to tell him how to pick the team. And
the only manager that came out and admitted it's not me was Conte. He's the only one that admitted that the signings aren't his. We know these. We know Poch never signed Nkudu, NG. We know Conte never wanted Rodon. Mourinho never wanted Rodon and Vinicius. We know this to every manager, right? We know this guy. We can kid ourselves if we want for an argument.
You're the one who's kidding yourself.
No, I'm saying happens to every manager, Maz. I'm saying happens to every manager. The only difference is all the other managers had one thing this manager did, and that was Harry Kane and a prime son. He had a shit son and no Kane. That's the only difference for me. This manager probably had the best defense since Poch.
And they had the most money spent, and none of them never had that same amount of money.
Yeah, but the money spent on what? On shit.
His
We
players,
signed
though.
crap.
Yeah, but that's just bad purchases.
Yeah, but I don't.
Still gotta give him the
None of
money.
those bad purchases, but the money was
Do
there.
you know? Look, when it comes to transfers, I'll be brutally honest, guys. I've got no idea who actually runs the transfers at this club. I don't believe it's. I don't believe it's the managers. I don't believe it's all the recruitment team. I don't think it's just Levy. I don't think it's just. I think the manager gets to pick a third. Lange or whoever else picks a third, and Levy just gets to have a bit of fun because it's his business and just let me get involved in a couple of the deals so I feel like I'm part of the team, right? I think the whole thing is the same every manager. So Frank will come in. I guarantee you, Levy will give him a player that he doesn't want. Lange will go and fuck around in the market, and then Frank will get maybe a couple of players that he actually wanted. That seems to be the system, isn't it? At this club, there's no one person. It's a committee of people. And between them, they haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing. The only thing I agree with Maz is
Agree on that.
Ange accepted this shit. He accepted it. I've always said that. That Ange deserves maximum blame because he accepted it. But then every manager accepted it. They all fucking do it.
What about his barefaced lies and contradictions week in, week out? What about the title charge that he promised me? Me personally.
What about the trophy he promised you as well? We can it goes back and forth. He lied sometimes. He told the truth sometimes.
But it was the ultimate yes man.
They're all yes men.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
I think a lot of them. I think a lot. I can't believe that Conte. Someone like Conte. Hold on, I can't believe someone like Conte would be a yes man in that sense because of the way that he blew up. For me, it sounds like, and I think this happens a lot.
I agree, Lee.
The story that is given when they are interviewed for these roles is something completely different to what the reality of it is. But now what we're seeing, and this is why we don't ever go for a top class manager because they can see through the lies. They would see. I think Conte was the last one that maybe I don't really understand the whole Conte thing. Really, I don't understand why he came to the club in the first place. It was almost like he wanted something to do for 18 months or something like that.
£20 million a year?
Or £20 million a year, yeah, exactly that. But I just can't.
He was
lied to.
And I think this is why.
That's top money,
yeah.
20 million a year. Fuck it.
This is why this particular position in any club in the Premier League is such a poison chalice for anyone that takes it. Because you get spun a yarn, and then reality sets in really quickly that you're not really in control of anything, and you get what you're given, not what you want, apart from maybe a couple of scenarios. So, I mean, listen, going back to the question about what do I want as a fan, I want my club to stop telling me they're a top six club, but acting like a mid-table club. I want, for next season, I don't want to have to turn the telly on and have to turn it off after 20 minutes because I'm bored of watching boring football when apparently I was supposed to be watching Ange ball, right? Realistically, I want my club to aim for something that they can achieve. Champions League and the Premier League, as the club stands, is not achievable, although I don't want them to throw those things. I want them to say, do you know what, this year the target is we'll get as high up the league as we possibly can, and we'll go for the FA Cup, or we'll go for the and we'll get into.
We've never done that, Lee.
On our target.
We've never achieved that.
No. I don't care. But hold on, Iggy. But you're spinning things. You asked me what do I want as a fan. That's what I want, and that's what
you can't have that under Levy Enoch, though. You can't have that.
Hold on. So I can't have a cup challenge and just do as well as I can in the league, not finishing 17th.
You had that under Pod. You had that under Redknapp. You had that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we sat them because fans wanted trophies.
Yeah, but that's the way that it goes. I can't change that. What do you want me to do? Do you
that's
want me
why
to
I said you can't have what you want.
Stop doing it? Well, I can have it. Absolutely, that's realistic target.
But we've never had that.
Target.
It's a realistic target.
Unrealistic.
What you're proposing is an unrealistic target. It's more realistic than what you're proposing.
No, it's not.
That's down to the
Hold on. No, what did I propose? You don't know what I proposed.
So hold on. Going for a cup.
Yeah, I do know what you're proposing.
Going for a cup, not winning, because I don't realistically. There's other clubs.
Your arguments are right.
Hold on, Lee.
When I'm saying
what you said, we got many a time under Levy and Enoch, and all those managers got booed out of this club by the fans.
What's
I
that
was
got
in
to
the
do with
terrace.
what I want as a fan? You never
Because
asked me
that's
what
not
happens when
true.
we get these positions.
I want to win
right?
the Champions League.
Joel
Jimmy.
never got booed
But that's
out
unrealistic.
Of the club. Did Joel
So
get
you
booed
said.
out of the club?
So what you
Still,
Hold
said.
on, Maz.
Joel
Hold
get
on.
booed
Hold
out
on.
of
Hold
the
on.
club?
How is what I said unrealistic?
Because we've
When
never
every
done it.
season, but you're using a something that's happened in the past to project what's happened in the future.
But
Now,
you're using
that
what
happens
happened in the past to project
but-
next season.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
You-
not.
You
I'm
literally
taking.
did the whole show. All of you did. Look at Ange
What?
last
What did I
year.
say?
That's what's going to happen next year. So when you want to use the past to project
I
the
think
future,
I think you will.
you're
I think
allowed,
you'll
but when I
find.
use the past to project the future,
I
it's a
think you'll.
problem.
No. I think you'll find what I actually said was, if he goes, he goes. If he stays, he stays. But what I want to see from him when he stays is adaptation and to adapt. If he goes, that's outside of mine. I never said I want him out. I accepted that if he's going.
You want Ange out, Lee. You want Ange out.
I was Ange out to the point of when we were in a really bad league position. I always said before
Okay,
we got
after Bilbao, you Ange out.
After Bilbao, I wasn't as merit he should stay. I said it's out of my hands. I wouldn't care if he stayed or goed. Right?
So he
has. I completely. No. Stop interrupting. Still, stop interrupting and let me explain. Because just like you said, and you've been getting battered for, I can change my mind. Well, I can have a slight difference of opinion after an event happens.
I didn't know this
right?
before, Lee.
Okay, but you're interrupting me again. I'm doing my Sava. I'm trying to do my Sava. You interrupt me still. Stop it. Anyway, Sav, love you, mate. Love you. Listen, after the cup, you went completely merit based, right? You went completely. He's won the right to start the season. Yeah.
Yes.
I was in the middle. I said I can completely understand why people would want that, and there's a part of me that says, do you know what? Yes, he has warranted getting the start of the season. But on the other side of that, the risk-based side of me says, but if he doesn't change, that's going to be a waste of a summer and a waste of 10, 15, 20 games. So I'm undecided as to which way I fall across the fence. But if you were to let me think about it and mull over it, I think I would probably sway slightly the more unrisky side of saying, I can see what he's done and I can't tell whether he's going to adapt. Therefore, I'd rather we reset and started again with someone fresh. But I can fully understand that if he stays, based on merit, I'd be happy, but he would have to show me change. Literally.
I just want to add that when most of the managers that we've had, very few of them have been hounded out of the club, right? So if I can't remember all the managers because there's been quite a lot, but the notable ones that I remember, Joel wasn't hounded out. Redknapp wasn't hounded out the club. I don't think AVB was hounded out the club, albeit that the fans were pissed off that we got pumped a couple of times. I wouldn't call that handing out. I would call them dissatisfaction over those two results. Pochettino wasn't necessarily hounded out the club, apart from the disaster that happened in the last, post the Champions League final, and everyone was like, "What the hell has happened to the team?" I think most of the fans wanted him to be given a chance. Jose Mourinho wasn't hounded out of the club. Conte wasn't hounded out of the club. A lot of the fans were unhappy with the football. I wouldn't call that handing out the club still.
When I say hounded out, I mean they booed them to leave. Poch, when we lost 3-0 to Brighton and Lloris broke his arm, he was booed. They were done. When we got spanked 5-0 against Liverpool at home, AVB, the whole stadium, booed them. It was done. Nuno was classed as El Sacico, for fuck's sakes, right? Mourinho booed out. Conte was the worst of the lot. In my recollection, everyone, except for Redknapp, was booed. Enough's enough. And they did the same with Ange. Funnily enough, though, they didn't boo Ange in Bilbao or when we lost 4-1 to Brighton. But before that, he was booed to death. So fans made it very clear.
So why didn't he get sacked then before that? Why didn't Ange get sacked before?
Ask Levy. Fuck knows. Ask Levy.
Well, then.
I don't know. I don't know why Levy didn't sack him. We all said sack him in January. I said he's got to go now to save the season. I wanted him gone in January.
And that's why you can't apply that standard that happened with Postecoglou to the other managers, which is what you're doing.
Why?
Why? Because they were never afforded the grace that Ange Postecoglou got. He's the only manager that got afforded this level of grace than over any other manager. That Levy never allowed them to fail. The failure that those managers showed was minuscule. In
I wish
Ange.
Poch had that same chance. I think
Poch was given 5 years, Mari, in the best team we've ever seen.
I was saying
it's given the best players we've ever had, and 5 years.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying
more grace than anyone.
I was just saying, afforded one more year of grace after the Champions League.
No.
Let me finish. Because we had gotten Tanguy Ndombele, who Poch wanted, and Lo Celso, and he never really got a chance to coach those players because he was out by November. So I wish he had that grace to finish out the year.
But you only get given grace. But this is why I wanted to. You only get given grace when things start going wrong. You don't get given grace when things are going well, right? So a lot of those managers were doing well up until the last weeks, months of their tenure.
And that's what
whereas with Ange, it was like 18 months of misery, and they kept him. And this is why saying, let's keep him just based off the fact that he won a club is unacceptable, because it will never be repeated. One, right, and two, he showed no improvement in the team.
You don't know that. It's guessing. We're all guessing. We don't know that.
Well, of course, but that's what we're here to do, aren't we?
Can I look, Luba? I want to bring you in. Guys, can I tell you why I'm suddenly defending Ange the way I am? I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Okay, when I was up at St George's Park, I think it was my level three, and I was up there. There was some really top England coaches you get to mix with and just learn from them and observe and do Q&A with. And I was doing one demonstration because you got to step in and do a demo. They give you drills to do whatnot. And the coach came up to me and said, "Why have you just intervened? Why have you stopped the session to tell a player something about their play? Why are you coaching, basically?" And I said, "What do you mean?" Because your team just scored a goal. I said, "Yeah, but the way I've taught them to build up the play, they did the complete opposite. The goalies kicked it long. The defenders missed the ball and it fell to the striker and he scored. I mean, that's not what we've been practicing." He goes, "What's the objective of the game?" And I said, "To win." He goes, "And how'd you do that?" "By scoring goals." He goes, "Yeah. You are trying to coach success. Your job is to coach failure. When it fails, intervene and coach it. Your team has found success. Fuck whether they've done it your way or not." He never said fuck. "You have chosen to coach your team when they found success." Because don't do that. Coach when there's failure, right? So I now find myself in a situation, and I tried to copy that as much as I could when I was coaching. And it's difficult at times because it can be a bit frustrating. But over the years, I realized he was right. We now have a manager. And by the way, this is just my thinking here, right? I don't expect everyone to follow. We now have a manager that finally found success. And I feel by us not backing him or turning on him now, and the chairman not saying stay, we are now trying to coach success, not failure. But what clearly has happened is trophies under this ownership, and for a lot of fans, is not deemed as the success. The league position is the success, and that's what they're trying to coach. And that's why I've got a massive conflict. And that's why I'm like this at the moment. It does not register with me that when you finally find success, what you should do is say...
I think that's a brilliant answer, and I agree with you.
Let him finish. Let him finish what he's saying.
Yeah, and for me, when you find that success, keep it. Keep it and see where it takes you. What we've done is said, we're going to take it, but someone else come and build on it. Well, you've just taken the success away now from those that have done it. And now you're trying to reset and hope it lands again. It goes against the way I was taught. Maybe I was taught badly, but it worked pretty well for me over the years.
No, still, I think that's an excellent answer, and I like that answer, and I agree with it. I think that the issue I have is you can't then retrospectively go back in history and make out that Ange done something really good, right, in the past, which is what you're doing. Because every time we say, yeah, but this reason, you're saying, yeah, but then you're comparing him to the other managers. And I think that's where the whole argument starts. Right?
Well, I would
you can say based on what you just said there, that's why I want to keep Ange. And I think 90% of the people would understand your reason. But what you're doing is you're saying, yeah, but none of the other managers done what's the Cogley done in a binary fashion, right?
Well,
and when we bring up points to show why he's a bad manager, you say, yeah, but Conte this or Jose that or this result here or that result there. And that's where the argument goes down the pit.
I would just add to that point is that because even I'm in education, right? And what we try to teach the kids in success is foundations. Foundations for what? Sustained success, ongoing success. And yes, Ange found success. The question going to next season is this type of success, is it sustainable? Is it the type of success that has a foundation to build? Because I think for anything in life, not alone a football club, you want to build. Now, it sounds ridiculous because under the Levy regime, building something is extremely difficult. But in life, you want to build on success. You want to continue success. You want to sustain success. You have to have a solid foundation. And this type of success was more of like, we found it, some people call it luck. Some people said stars aligned, everything, whatever you call it. Is this success sustainable? That's the key question going to season 3, right? That is not going to happen. Was this formula or way of finding success, is it sustainable? And for me personally, I kept saying no. I cannot see it as being, yes, it's success, but it's not sustainable because of the foundations that there is, in my opinion, I don't see the foundations of this success. I don't know if everybody understands what I just said.
In your what you were talking about being coached and coaching them out of kind of like success, etc., or should I say coaching them when they failed? He failed 22 times in the league last year. He didn't change anything, right? So at what point do we think he's going to change just because he's won the cup?
Because in his first season, he got 5th place, which says to me
by playing one game a week, right?
Yes. So
this season,
so that says to me, when he focuses on something, he can get some achievement. This year, he had to focus on multiple things. So now what he had to do was win a trophy and do well in the league, which no manager in the history of Tottenham has ever done under this ownership. So what we effectively were saying is, Ange, you now need to do the impossible. Because it's never been done.
If he found it really tough this season,
yeah,
is he not going to find it really tough and near on impossible next season with a higher level of a European competition?
Well, I think that the transfer window would have determined that, which is why I said last week, no matter who the manager is, whether it's Ange, Frank, Glasner, if they don't sign some top players, whoever the manager is will fail. Ange will fail quicker because he'll only get 10 games. The next manager will fail within a year to 18 months because they'll be given more time. So for me, it was a case of give him some better players and then let's see. But it doesn't matter now. That was my thinking of it. And I believe I
that's
believe
fair.
next season
And
Ange would
that's
have done
fair.
much better in the league because he did sleep. You're gone.
Yeah. And I was going to say that's fair. And knowing the fact that, in a way, we know that what the transfer window is going to be like, because I can bet your bottom dollar if he was there, Ben Davies would have still been signed, right? And that would have been kind of almost the start of it. And if we go 10 games and it doesn't work out, and we fire him, then yeah, it is hypothetical, right? If we go 10 games and he doesn't do well and we end up firing him, then that's another season already screwed, right?
Well, not if you sign good players, JP, because then the next manager's inheriting a better situation, a better crop of players, which is why I said that this transfer window. See, for me, this summer, the most important thing is the transfer window, not the manager. For me, it doesn't actually matter, in my opinion, who the manager is next season, because
I agree with that.
I think
that has been the crux.
It's
of
always
our
been that
problem,
way, though, isn't it?
Like, don't you think we've discussed this many times on the various shows? Like, our recruitment policy last decade was so far more superior than what it is this decade. I mean, we were signing Berbatovs and Ericssons and Dele Allis and God knows who else. And who have we signed of note this decade? This has been abysmal.
We had that guy from Southampton, didn't we? Who was our
what's his name? Guy at Newcastle now. But
yeah.
Even under Kamoli and stuff like that, we were still signing better players. I mean, we signed Keane and Defoe and Scott Parker and stuff like that. This decade, aside from maybe Romero being, more recently, let's say Romero and Van der Ven,
hasn't been any quality really, is there?
Maybe Porro, but it's in comparison to what we had before, it's been abysmal. And I agree with Stel. Really, the biggest factor of all our managers, rather than them being individuals, is we're just not signing good players anymore. We're just not. If we had a good wage budget and we signed better players, then if we were recycling the managers, a bit like Chelsea, at least the managers that are coming in have got a squad to work with decent players. But we never do that. Every 18 months is a rebuild. Every 18 months is a rebuild. And the reason for that is just the lack of a plan, the lack of a coherent recruitment strategy. That is the major reason. And obviously the salary cap, right?
And wages. Exactly.
I was listening to...
Let's hear from Ian.
Go on, Ian.
I was listening... Oh, go ahead, Ian.
Evening, guys. How are we doing?
We're having a swell time.
the same as every other show, Ian.
I've got quite a bit to say, so bear with me just while I run through the different points. I've given your stance still a bit of thought. And in terms of 17th and a trophy or a mid-table and no trophy, then yes, of course, getting a trophy this year, I've always said was absolutely massive, because if you want to attract players are all financially independent. They're looking to go to clubs that win things. So to get the monkey off the back was absolutely crucial, and we did it. And although the league season was absolutely horrendous and probably the worst points per game I think we've ever had in our 143-year history, that didn't define the season because of the Europa League trophy. I was on Sean's show about 2 months ago, and Sean said to me, "What's the most important thing that can happen this summer?" And I said new ownership, and I still stand by that. I had a text running off from an Arsenal friend of mine tonight when I woke up before, and he was saying, "Any truth, the Qataris are buying Tottenham for 3.4 billion." And I just said, "Well, yeah, I've heard it. Nothing's substantiated." That is crucial because we need the mentality now. We've just won a trophy. We want to stay with that mentality and look to win going forward. I agree with you regarding Levy. It hasn't been done before, sort of top four and winning a trophy. Doesn't mean it can't be done. And Poch got very, very close. So in terms of just going back still what you were saying, yes, of course, I've come on many shows and said it's about memories and moments. So definitely, would you take 17th and the trophy this year? 100%. 100%. Is it going to happen next year? Well, if you were to keep Ange next year, and bear in mind, listen, I've got no complaints about winning a trophy when the level of the competition is probably lower level Premier League and Championship. I think we can all agree on that. Maybe Frankfurt might get top 10 in the Premier League. Don't think anybody else does. That includes Roma, Rangers, Gala. I don't believe they are top 10. I think the Premier League is a very tough competitive league. It's been helped obviously by the amount of money that comes in, and I think there are some very, very good sides in the top half of the table. So when you look at next season coming on, we're in the Champions League. Do we think that Champions League plus again the 3 domestic competitions? So based on the results, particularly that Ange had against the top 10, which was 1-4, 2 against Brentford, who were 10th. I'll come on to Frank in a minute. And against the top 9, we won 2 out of 18, drew 2 and lost 14. So Ange against top level Premier League cannot find a way to win. So having come off, doesn't matter how you win, having shithoused their way to a trophy. Bilbao was an amazing night, and thank you very much, Ange, for that. When you look forward to next season, does anybody honestly think under Ange, with the way he plays a high line, inverted fullback, centre backs that are left constantly vulnerable, a team that gets broken on all the time when we lose possession, again because we don't have players of the ilk like Grealish, for argument's sake, who can hold the ball and carry the ball. We keep getting caught in possession so many times, and this has resulted in Vicario facing more shots than any other keeper in the Premier League this year, and he missed 3 months as well. So I mean, all of these things: in-game management, lack of rotation, injuries, training intensity, etc., etc., etc. There are so many things that you can say are X's against Ange's name. That for me, you had to. Yes, you take the trophy this year. To answer your question you were asking when I tuned in, what would you do? Would you take 4th or 5th and no trophy, or 17th and a trophy? Definitely take a trophy for the reasons I've just mentioned. But if you're going to say to me, next question, can Ange take us forward? The answer to that is an emphatic no. I think we've seen 2 years of him in the league. First 19 games, 36 points. Next 19, 30. This season, first 19, 24. Next 19, 14. It's a downward trend. If it carries on, we will be relegated next season. And in terms of just going on to talking about the last subject that was mentioned about players, we don't seem to buy the right sort of players. You look at the players that we had in Poch's team, and you look at the players that we've got in our team now, and they're not of the same level now, are they? Now, Ange said that he signed off on every single player that came in. Well, if that's the case, then that doesn't speak well for Ange, does it? If the players are not of the standard that they were under Paul Mitchell. So for me, if he's not recruiting well, and yes, you can win a cup. Wigan won a cup. Portsmouth won a cup. You know, you can win a cup, but what we want, and I know, Sel, you're going to say we're not going to do it under Levy, and I'm 100% with you on that. But I think that what all the fans want is a team that are going to be competitive, and one that may not win a league. We've only won twice in 143 years, but through this, between the 60s and before Enoch took over in 2000, we were regular cup winners. And I think the fans, if we were winning every 4 or 5 years, as we were under Scholar, under the Richardson, under the Whale family, I think people would be much better about it than winning 2 in 25. But take a trophy this year, definitely. But no teams continue to win cups finishing 17th. And I went to so many games, and I've walked out of so many matches in the past 10 months and think, Jesus Christ, this is absolutely dreadful. This is just unsustainable. And yes, we won the Europa League. We have the players to do it. And we also changed tactics. It was interesting, James Ollie's comment on ESPN that the senior players went to Ange late on in the season and said, look, you've got to compromise on this style. We've got to be more pragmatic. And if Ange listened, full marks to him. But it's unsustainable. So going forward, do I think we're going to be successful until Levy goes? No, I don't. Do I think the most important thing this summer is that Levy goes? Cullen's gone. I think Ange has gone. Looks like Munn's going. You know, all people that for me don't represent football. And until Levy goes, because Levy expects Champions League finishes on a Europa League budget. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. ENIC have tried to buck the system of how you run football clubs, and they've had a couple of successes in 25 years. That's 8%. So it shows it doesn't work when all the other big clubs are winning many trophies. I prefer to look up rather than down and look at the Leeds and the West Broms of this world and so on, the Villas and Forest. This is Tottenham Hotspur. So I hope I haven't bored anybody, but I've tried to put all the points across in an eloquent way. And I do feel that with Thomas Frank, who is an organised...
I don't agree with you, though. I know everyone's agreeing with you. I don't agree with it.
On 19th highest wages in the Premier League.
Wishful thinking, mate.
Why? But why still? We don't know. We don't know.
We do know. We do know. I see it every year. I see the same thing. Thomas Frank will last 2 years at best if Levy's the chairman.
But still, he's never had the backing. You know, the backing that managers get. Whatever we think about Levy, he gives managers bigger backing than Brentford can give their manager.
We don't bank managers. Money is not backing. We can throw £5 billion at it. We don't sign the quality, Lubo. The same thing happened to Conte. The same thing happened to Poch, Mourinho, Nuno, AVB, Postecoglou. You sit here saying to me he's signed off on everyone.
That's a different subject. Right, still.
No, it's not. It's the point you raised. You raised that Ange signed off on all these players. We know that every manager at this club signs off on shit to keep their job because that's how it works at this club. There's no way in hell some of these players... Are you sitting here telling me that Postecoglou said, go and spend £40 million of my budget on Archie Gray? That's the guy. Are we seriously doing that?
But no, he didn't. But he said...
But that goes against the first point on your list you made.
Right.
But Lubo, that's the first point you made.
No, but he said, go and spend 57 on Solanke, go and spend 47 on Johnson. That's what he said.
And to Ange's defense,
bring Werner back.
But Lubo, as much as I can't stand Johnson, I think he's an awful footballer. He's our top goal scorer under Ange. He scored the winning goal in Bilbao as well. So you could justify that. That one you can justify. Solanke, we've got a big argument to have there.
Own goal.
Fine, own goal. The other 17 were his goal. But at the end of the day, right, for me, I'm never, ever going to argue about transfers and look at the manager. I'm never doing it again because it's clear to me the fact that Ben Davies has signed again and Ange isn't here, that's my answer done. That's going to be my argument on every show for the next 10 years. But we sign players when managers aren't here, right? I'm going to live off that.
I agree with you. I've said this for years.
But still, this is what I think. This channel, we all agree with you on that. We know that it's the high.
But Lubo said Ange signed off on it all. I don't think he. I think
but I think where we're all getting confused in your argument is, but why Postecoglou? Why? I know that he's won the cup, but you know that the 18 months preceding to, or the 2 years before preceding him winning the cup, he was one of the worst managers you've ever seen at Spurs, and the facts bear that out.
I am without a question of a doubt one of the only fans in this fan base online, right? Not away from this channel, right? So not talking about you guys. I stood by Poch. I stood by Conte. I stood by Mourinho. This is the first manager I turned on. This is the first one. And the reason I turned on him was because I was sick of every manager coming to this club and towing the line, all following the Levy and ENIC blueprint of failure. We get this new sales pitch. This manager's done this. This manager's going to bring that. We've got our Tottenham back. Things are going to change. We get a repackaged version of that. They'll do the same for Frank. We're going to get sold a new dream with Frank, like we did with all the others. And I got pissed off the day we re-signed Werner. For me, right, that is confirmation. You are accepting the blueprint of failure, Ange. Fuck this. I'm done with you. And then the season just, was crap to watch. But the fact he won a trophy when all the others couldn't said to me, you know what? He can actually find success under this abysmal blueprint of failure. He can find it. We might as well stick with him. That's why, Maz. So now what we're doing is we're changing manager to reset the whole thing in hope this guy finds success with the blueprint when no one else could. And this manager's never won a sausage in his life, and he's had longer than most. And on top of that, we know that Thomas Frank, his remit is going to be, don't worry about silverware. Just get us in that top 6 if you can, Frank. And we know that when we just do that, fans turn because they want trophies. No fan, if we come 6th or 7th next season, no fan's going to sit there and go, what a brilliant season. I'm so glad we're back in the Europa Cup. Hurrah. Fans, you're going to hear the moans and groans. I think the resentment against this manager is so deep that we will take almost anything right now that we think is better in hope that it lands somewhere. Listen, Frank could end up being the best move ever, and this club strikes gold. It could be, right? Never say never, not after last year. But the reality is he's coming in because he will work to the blueprint of failure that only Ange found success in.
Yeah,
he's
and I'm good with what you said, right? But don't make out that Postecoglou is the only answer, because you know that's not true.
But he's the only one that showed he could do it.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I go
Not that
back
6 or
to
7.
sustained success. I honestly, you asked me my prediction. I said 10th and no trophies next year, because I honestly don't think there's any way possible we're winning the League Cup and the FA Cup, and we can't fall back on Europa because we're playing the Champions League and we finished 10th. I was, if we were going to season predictions, that was my prediction. 10th and no trophies.
See, that's where we differ, though, Mari. That's where we differ. I'm looking at next season. I'm saying the League Cup and the FA Cup is absolutely achievable if we focus on it. Because we can't focus on the Champions League because we know we've got no chance.
Unless we avoid Liverpool, who got stronger.
So if fans want trophies, go for it. Put all your eggs in that basket, like Postecoglou did.
And mind you, City is
going to... But then the league suffers. The league suffers.
City is going to want
both of those can happen. You might say it doesn't happen, but it could happen. But something has to give. And I think it'll be the Champions League. I don't think we'll go very far in the Champions League.
Hamworth, Rochdale, AFC, whoever, lower level teams, and then we play a one-off. Maybe we play against Chelsea. That was the only way I see possible of us winning the FA Cup and League Cup. I'm just being honest. I didn't give us a chance.
Why? We were one game away from the Carabao Cup final this year. One game away. Why not?
You saw what Liverpool did to us?
Did you see what we did to Man City and Man United on the way there? We dismissed these games. We dismissed beating these teams because it's happened.
Man City was Man City this year. Next year, they got Turkey, who's like they're going to be good. Villa kicked our ass out of the FA Cup. There was no way. There was no way we were going to do good in domestic cup.
This is crazy, man. When we went and beat Man City away 4-0, 4-1, whatever it was this year, everyone was praising what a performance. Brilliant.
You didn't even believe it.
Yeah, but you did.
I didn't believe it.
Now you flip it.
I didn't believe it either. I was with you.
No, all of you were against me that day. You were calling me up saying, "Are you okay?"
I just said celebrate today.
Savile was setting intervention groups up on WhatsApp. I was getting phone calls from fucking counsellors.
I was just saying celebrate today.
Hi, Still. Do you need counselling? We've been advised. Is everything all right? I'm like, what?
I was worried about you, Still. You just weren't enjoying it, but it did. Hang on, Still. But in hindsight, that win at City,
the Dial-A-Ride bus came outside my house to pick me up to take me to work.
Hang on. That the win against City with the win also in November against Villa did turn out to be the only 2 games we won against the top 9. That's 18 games. So it didn't prove to be the norm, did it? It proved to be a rarity. That was the anomaly, winning at City. So when we came to Liverpool, you were saying to me, Lubo, what are you going up there for? You're mad. You need help. Did you not say that to me? You know, for the second leg at Anfield, and we got absolutely smacked.
It's Anfield. It's Anfield.
Ian, can I on that point? Can I just ask Stella a question though? Right, and this is throwing it at you based on like the questions you were asking us earlier. Saying that to Lubo,
I mean, Lee, Iggy needs to go. Let me just say, let's say good night to Iggy because he's
Good night,
got work.
guys. Yeah,
ciao
sorry,
Bella,
man.
ciao Bella.
Bye, Iggy.
See you later.
I'm learning.
Yeah, man.
Good night, Iggy.
If you said that to Ian, right, based on the fact that you had seen how we played under Ange, if it was a different manager with a more pragmatic style, would you have said the same thing to Ian going up to Liverpool? Or was it more because...
Let's say that question again, Lee. Let me
So
register
you said to Ian,
yeah,
are you mad for going up to Liverpool based on the fact that we were playing them under Ange and we knew how Ange was playing? At that point, I think we were all pretty much galvanised for getting him out. If that had been a different manager with a more pragmatic approach, would you have said the same thing to Ian?
Yes, but I would have said we probably have a little bit more of a chance because the team we took up there was never going to win at Anfield. The players we had when you go
so
to
your
Anfield,
decision and what you said was based on Ange and the way he played, and I think that's why. And listen, the only reason I'm saying
it's not Lee. No, it's not that. It's not that.
It isn't. Oh, okay. So
when you go to Stamford Bridge, Anfield, or the Emirates away, obviously they're away. If we don't have our strongest team, I assume the worst. So going there with that team, I knew we were going to lose. But with the run of games we were on with Ange, I was 100% sure instead of 95% sure. So it was worse with Ange. It was worse. So I half agree with you, if that makes sense.
Okay, all right, I'll take that. I'll take half.
Because we did.
If Conte was manager with those players, I reckon we would have lost 1 or 2-0 instead of 4. We wouldn't have got smashed completely.
So what you're saying, Stel, is that we got battered more. We got beaten more than say Jose because he plays a wide open way of playing, and
Jose would have put 11 players on the goal line.
It works.
What Ange did at Bilbao, second half.
Basically,
so, and the other thing also is that
Romero did that, not Ange.
No, but Romero and Van der Ven didn't play. Didn't play at the Etihad when we won 4-0 either. So, you know, so we've got to look at it. It's tell me still, if Ange has still been manager, looking forward to next season, do you honestly think we'd have won a trophy?
Lubo, I can't answer any question like that. I can't answer any question.
Do you think? I'm asking you to just speculate.
I'm answering. I can't answer any question like that until I see what transfers we get in. If we don't sign any top players, no, he wouldn't have won jack shit. But I don't think if Thomas Frank inherits this squad as it is, he's winning jack shit as well.
I agree. No, I agree. Fully agree.
So, look, to be honest with you guys, Ange has gone, right? That conversation is now dead, right? It's irrelevant. Ange, it's just done. What do you guys really believe is going to happen with Thomas Frank, assuming Levy remains as chairman? Because right now he is the chairman. We can speculate, but we can only go by the facts. The facts are he is the chairman and Frank is going to be the new manager, barring some major contract breakdowns that happen tomorrow morning or something. What do you expect with Levy and Frank? Let's go JP. Let's go JP round, and then what do you honestly think? And over the next 2 years, JP, let's put a 2-year time frame on it.
So it again difficult because we don't know who's going to come in, right? Because ideally there has to be some fresh faces in that squad. There has to be some fresh faces in that team. What I do expect is for us to maybe play a better style of football, maybe be a bit more pragmatic, have a lot more in-game management, as opposed to just it's my way or it's who we are, mate, or kind of, we'll play the high line and that's it. I don't expect us to have these inverted fullbacks and everything get kind of smothered. Maybe not so many of these. I'd like to see Solanke be in the box more. And I think Frank would be the person who'd be able to rearrange that, right? Now, if he does get new faces and fresh faces in there, I think the Champions League, if we get to the knockout bits, that'll be a massive achievement. I think Levy will probably put some pressure on him because that's probably where the biggest money is, to make sure you do well in that. I think in the league it will well, kind of like, it can't get worse than 17th, but I think we'll progress. We'll be further up in the league, and I think we'll probably give the cups a good go, because I think even if he comes in, the remit for Frank is purely going to be, you have to achieve something, right? He knows already. He's got pressure on him. I think the last guy just won the Europa Cup. He has to, in a way, in his mind, he'll want to be able to do something in that first year, if not in the second year. So in the 2 years, I would expect us to have at least one cup in the bag, and most definitely by that second year be challenging for that top four, realistically. But the caveat is based on what we do in those transfer windows. And ideally, if anything happens with this takeover, to me, that will be worth more than winning that Europa League. I'd be happier.
Yeah, I hear on that front.
I think we all agree with that bit, right? Lubo might have a street party. Might all get invited to it. The Levy out street party.
You know what? I've been watching. Obviously, I watch Brentford games and stuff like that, so I know what he's all about football-wise. But I watched post-match interviews with him, but I didn't watch all of the stuff he done on Sky Sports and some of the podcasts he done. And I've started watching those to get a feel for him. And excuse me, my overall impression of Frank is that he's really articulate. I think he's a guy that can communicate really well. Excuse me, sorry. And I think that's going to bode really well for him coaching the youngsters in that squad and helping them develop. So Bergvall, Gray, Odebers, maybe Sarr. I can see them really benefiting. Whether they turn out to be what we think they may turn out remains to be seen. But from that point of view, it's really great. I think the challenge that he's going to have, though, is he's going from a relatively small club to a big club, and a big club with lots of egos and expectations and pressure. And every manager, regardless of how successful they've been, Jose felt the pressure, Conte felt the pressure, Poch maybe felt the pressure near the end, Ange felt the pressure. Everyone feels the pressure at Spurs. So it will be down to how he copes with that and whether he can take that next level up in his career. I think he will, to be honest, because I think he knows Tottenham well. He knows what we're all about. He's a Premier League proven manager. He knows what he's walking into. And for someone that articulate and that well regarded to do that, even though he's coming from a lower level, I think that speaks volumes. What do I think he will actually do to round up my thoughts? I really don't know. I would like to think he can take us back to challenging at least for the top six in his first year. I think that will be a reasonable expectation. And I hope that he can persuade some of those Brentford players to come to Spurs. If he does that, if he gets 2 or 3, let's say we get like Mbeumo and that midfielder, is it Danish midfielder? I can't remember his name. Yeah, like to come. I'll be really happy with that because they're upgrades on what we currently have. And that shows that we're sort of going somewhere. But I maintain that I expect cup runs, and certainly in his second season or third season, to win something. Anything other than that for me will be a failure. And I agree with Stel. If we don't sign quality players, doesn't matter who we have in. On the flip side, though, even though it doesn't matter who we have in, it can't be Ange Postecoglou because we can't be finishing 17th. Because then we've got no chance of ever doing anything in that scenario. Anyway, that's me.
Couple of super chats quickly, Murray. Then 100% have your say. Big up to Aki. Thank you so much for a super sticker and also for your super chat. What would each of you say if you found yourselves alone in a room with Levy? No rude comments. Aki, we can't answer that because you've put no rude comments at the end of it. Which
just go and watch Dale's last video. To start.
Watch the first 30 minutes of me on Friday. AU's a big up. Tottenham want Anne Summers. The fans want OnlyFans. It's not a bad way of putting it, really, is it? It's quite a good. It's quite a good analogy.
The OnlyFans stadium.
Yeah, the something hub stadium. William Leon, big up. Hope you're doing well, bro. Yeah, whether you're Ange in or Ange out, you must protest. I think we all agree with you on that one, William. And Marlon Blade says, Ange only focused on the Europa Cup when he knew he was going to be fired. Next season, he would just focus on top 4 to save his job. Poch said he was just a coach.
Yep.
Murray.
Well, I think the easy things is what I believe. The injuries won't be as massive as they have the last 2 seasons, especially last season. So that's number one. I think number 2, we are going to be a pain in the ass, meaning that automatically we're not going to be Pornhub, Lily Phillips FC. We're going to be difficult to beat. And that's what, I want to see, that it's not an easy victory when they're playing Tottenham. Like, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat us. So we will see that. We'll also see that there will be structure to our team. Where we finish, it's tough because we have Champions League along with the league. But I would probably say that we finish 7th or 8th, and do a deep run in the domestic cups, and then going on to the next season, I would definitely, if he gets the second season, top 4 FA Cup.
If he gets the second season, did you just say that?
I love that. Thomas the Frank.
Yeah, if he gets a second, yeah. With Levy, you always gotta say if he gets, then top 4 FA in the second season.
Lubo, they call you the voice of reason and the well, actually, I won't tell you what else they call you. But what's your thinking with Thomas Frank now at the club? What's your realistic aspirations for him over the next 2 years?
2 scenarios. Levy in. I've said all along, I think there's a ceiling of 4th because Enoch never stretch. They never stretch themselves to give us a chance of competing with the boys at the top. So I'd say next 2 years, hopefully we'll top 6 this year. I don't think unless we get a really good improvement in the squad during the transfer window, don't see us competing with the Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea as well. I don't see it in terms of domestic trophies. I'd like to finish top 6 and then have another go at the Europa League year after next. I think in terms of trophies, that's the Europa League would be realistic. I'm happy. I've seen some of his interviews and training tapes, and we're going to be organised. We're not going to be wide open. We're going to be difficult to beat. Brentford were the 5th highest goal scorers in the league this year. 19th highest wage, never been in the relegation zone in 4 years, with so many teams yo-yoing between the two divisions. I think that is a tremendous achievement as well. He's lost many, who's he lost? Watkins, Ben Rama, Raya, Tony, amongst others, and he's always managed to bounce back. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Frank. My first choice was Glasner, because I think with the players we've got, Glasner's 3 at the back system actually suits Spurs, but Frank is flexible when it comes to systems. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I really am looking forward to seeing him. I'm not, I was thinking to myself, with Ange there going to Italy for the Super Cup, we're going to get smacked 7 or 8. Can you imagine what Barcola or Kvaratskhelia, or Doué are going to do with our 30 fullbacks way up the pitch? But I think Frank will get the team organised, and we'll be competitive now. And as I say, hopefully top 6. But ask me again September the 1st still at the end of the transfer window, and I'll give you probably a more educated, be able to give you a more educated assessment.
Transfers will be the decider. Lee, you're the last to go.
I think the one thing, just really quickly, sorry, Lee, is
Nearly,
that
Lee. You always get interrupted. You know how it is.
At Brentford,
You know the drill, Lee. You know the drill.
A lot of people have said and kind of like do say, do you know what? Like, going to Brentford's been tough. It's a tough game going to Brentford. If he was to do that at the Spurs Stadium, that's what we need to make our stadium, right? A tough place to come to.
Fortress.
Sorry, Lee.
It was fine. I was looking at a picture of Gillian Anderson with no bra on. It was absolutely fine. No problems whatsoever. So listen, this is really easy for me. What I want from next season, what I'm expecting. I just want to watch Spurs play some nice. I don't care if we lose. If a team's better than us, we lose. I just don't want to be bored after 15, 20 minutes. I don't want to see us get cut open every 5 seconds. I just want us to go back and start being Spurs again, which I just don't think Ange did for us.
What shit?
I don't think there's any expectations. We're in a reset again with a new manager. I mean, I just want to be entertained again. I want to enjoy watching Spurs. That's what I want to do.
You sound like a Levy dream customer. That is like the dream
it's not,
ticket.
because I want us to win something, don't get me wrong, and I'm realistic about what we can do, but I'm not realistic. I don't think coming in, having a summer and getting to a point where you can do something like that is realistic. And I don't think Frank is realistically going to be able to do anything in the Champions League. I think the whatever the conversation with him and Levy is going to be about the Champions League is just probably do as best as you can, get as far as you can. We're never going to win it, so let's just try and get as far as we can to get as much revenue out of it. That's where Levy's brain ticks over. So, if he can build next year, if he can build stability in the matches, stability in the team, get a good 11 together, we sort of try not to get the injuries and that we've suffered this year, and then maybe we see some progress, and then in year 2, then we can go, right, let's go for something. Let's get let's try and aim to get back in the Europa League. We can win that. We've shown that we can win that. Let's just go and win it again. Right? I think the Champions League is going to be a hindrance for us. I think it's going to be money generating, but I think it's going to be a hindrance for us this year. I really do. I'm just easy pleased.
For that's why you got those cheap subscriptions, right? That you sign up to.
Mate, those women, listen, if they want to pay me to see long nails and feet, I don't care. Whatever. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, sorry, the other subscription.
Jesus Christ. For what it's worth, I think Frank will definitely make us better in the league table. I don't think he'll get us top 4. And then the following season, I just think he's going to make us that steady top 6, 7 club. But to not have won a trophy in your career, for me, that's a major red flag. I know people say, but what did Eddie Howe win? But he won the leagues that he was in. He won Division 4, 3. You know, Bournemouth on the verge of bankruptcy. He won the champion. He won leagues that he was in. You know, there was something there. I just don't see how a manager is going to survive at Spurs unless they win trophies, because no one does. And I don't think he's going to be a top 4 manager. I think he's going to be that steady pair of hands that makes us that top 6 club, and that's us again. And I don't know how long that will last for. Our fans, they're always excited at the beginning, and very quickly it unravels all the time.
Don't you think? And you know, we can't. I almost feel stupid for saying.
Just say it, Maz. Just say it.
But don't you think that everything changes if the club does get sold? In that respect, do you remember what happened when Man City got bought over?
You'd like to
win, doesn't it?
I think you'd like to see. Right, look, this has always been my argument, and then Sean Butler. He always ignores this part of what I say. I don't think the argument is Levy in, Levy out, Enoch in. I don't think that's the argument, because you don't know what you're going to get within your ownership. We've got no idea. I think it's, do you want to carry on business as usual, i.e. you're rarely going to win anything, you'll never get relegated, and you'll probably be in Europe or some kind of European competition most seasons. If you're happy with that, then you shouldn't be Levy or Enoch out. If you want to be that club that does win trophies, at least a couple every 10 years, and you want to be that team that justifies the stadium build, then you need to change ownership. But when you change ownership, you don't know what you're going to get. You could get Levy 2.0, you could get Mike Ashley and you get relegated, or you could get the Man City, Liverpool type ownership where, yeah, this makes sense. So I think it's your risk appetite. Do you want to play it safe? Then stay with Enoch and Levy. If you want to take a gamble because you've had enough of playing it safe, because for you it will never work, then you've got to roll the dice. So for me, I want to roll the dice because I can't stand Enoch and Levy. They've proven to me they're not interested. They've too many times. So it depends what ownership we get. And then that's when people argue, we want to know what the new owners look like before we agree to it. Well, you're not going to get that. Right? We're not going to get a say in the new owners, and we're not going to know what they. And even if they look great, you don't know what they're going to do until they get their hands on the club. Then you'll know what they'll do. So for me, Maz, I don't know if the changing ownership will work, but what I do know is I don't want this ownership to carry on. Does that make sense? Is that a fair answer, or am I sitting on the fence?
Absolutely spot on, still.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
Absolutely. You cannot have owners who are only at the club to use the club as a platform to get rich. This is a football club. It's not, it's not a business. When and you've got millions of fans that are invested in this club. The thing is, that turn up every week, and it's not like having a normal business. This is a business that's not only built on funds. It's built on emotion and love and passion.
Which
they
club?
They just don't understand that.
Yeah, which club? Here's a question, right? And I'm thinking off the outset that we're very unique in this scenario. But which club was a historic club that won cups, not leagues, but known for winning cups and being the first at doing things and playing amazing football, has effectively turned into the Tottenham the Levy Spursy Tottenham Hotspur, right? I can't think of any other clubs, even in other foreign leagues, that are massive like us, make all the money, but we never win. And this is what Levy's done, and this is why I think like when these new owners come in, the odds of them being like Levy is remote. Because where else do you see how they operate? I just don't.
Can't see that happening again.
Yeah,
no, because you look at the top 10 clubs in the world, and money generate. Even the top 15, you go down the list, they've won something. They've won something. They've won something.
Precisely.
Spurs, they've won something. Even the teams below us, they have won. We're the only anomaly.
Europa League.
We're the only anomaly within the top 15 money-making clubs that has won anything until
But if it is that Petronas company, that that huge oil and gas company that come in, I can't see them as a huge organisation. And bear in mind, they sponsor a lot of other sports like F1 and stuff like that.
F1, they're big in,
right?
Can I ask
them
a question
coming
about
in
this?
and them thinking, you know what? Let's not try and make Spurs successful because you're going to buy Spurs for a lot of money, and you're going to think, right, we can really do something with this club. We can take them onto the next level, make them that elite club, make them do this, make them do that. That's what I hope, anyway. That's obviously.
You know, if Petronas buy Spurs, isn't that a bit weird? I'm sure last season we were the first club, to host a net zero environmental friendly game of football, right?
Are you going to use synthetic fuels?
Hey guys, I gotta go.
We're going to end it, Mari. We're going to end it. We're going to end it.
I gotta go outside, but I will give you. I'll send you guys a message.
Yeah,
Colombiana, yeah.
Take it easy, Murray.
Colombia, the Colombians back in town.
I got him.
Well, I won't go into details. All right.
See you, man.
See you, Murray.
You know what? I was wondering, why has he got the guns out? All show he's had these on display, the guns. Man.
I'm guessing bros before hoses out the window. See you later, Mari. Bye, mate.
All right, peeps, we're going to wrap it up there. It's been another good one. Thank you for joining, watching as always. Big up to all the super chats. We had quite a few tonight. A-User, Sanilla, Nick Carey, Dietrix, Aki, William Leone, and Marlon Blade. Thank you very, very much. Make sure you subscribe, like the channel, all the good stuff. We'll be back. Mari, I don't know. If Mari's doing a North London is our show, he'll do one this week. If not, we'll definitely be back next Monday. If there's any breaking news, some major manager that we don't know about coming in, it's not Frank.
Frank says no.
How funny
Frank
was that?
says no.
Imagine if it's not Frank and it's someone else. We need to go after all the ITKs and journalists if that happens.
Could you imagine freaking if it's not Frank? It'll be anyway. Let's see what happens. And also, if there's any kind of big announcement with Levy, Enoch, or a major player we sign, we'll definitely go live. But otherwise, it's just Mondays for now whilst the season's quiet, and then we ramp up again when it's the pre-season friendlies and all the football comes back. So, JP, let's go around. Everyone can say their good nights. I'll say good night first. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Much love, everyone. It's great doing this again. I know football's finished and stuff, and do you know what? We're champions of Europe.
Good night.
On tomorrow.
It's a really weird. It's a weird goodbye, this, isn't it? Go around in a circle and say good. Why did I do that? Why did I just say?
Fingers crossed for a takeover this week, guys.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
All right, peeps, have a good one. We're out of here. Bye.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.